We interrupt this program with a special report.
I got a message for all you folks out there in Radio Land. So sit tight and bend an ear.
Welcome back, everyone, to another week of the Manga Monday. Welcome back, everyone, to another week of the Manga Monday show. My name is Ben, and I'm with my co-host
Garfield.
Garfield.
It's Monday.
You don't like Mondays?
No.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
All right,
It's
everybody,
Edgar.
that's the end of the podcast.
I'm
Wow.
Edgar. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there another cat named? I swear, there's a cat named Edgar somewhere, like in media.
Oh no! Well, in the Aristocats or the Aristocrats,
The Aristocats, I think it is. Yeah.
there's the butler's named Edgar,
Oh, that's right.
and he was the bad guy in that movie.
That's right. That's
It's a good movie,
It's
but it
always the
does.
butler.
It's infamously famous. It's infamous for that Asian cat dance.
Oh,
scene.
yeah,
The one that
yeah.
is not so good.
Yeah.
Either way, I remember that movie. That has a character named Edgar, but he's a bad guy, so I kind of don't like it. So.
Yeah, great. Well, this is the Manga Monday show, everyone, where we talk all things anime and manga. If you want to stay up to date with the
And
latest, and Mondays, we talk about Mondays a lot.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay up to date with the latest news, reports, projects, anything coming out of Japan,
Hot topics.
we are here.
We're
Sadly, this week for news and reports, we're not here because it was a slow news week.
Yeah, sometimes news doesn't happen.
Yeah. There are just a couple things to just kind of point out and be like, that's weird. Seven Deadly Sins is getting a new
It's getting a spin-off sequel
Yeah.
adaptation. It's called Knights of the Apocalypse or Four Knights of the Apocalypse is what it's called. I think the anime is done now, and I
Okay.
kind of didn't watch it. I don't know if I would count it as an anime that I dropped, but it's definitely I haven't. Right where the Escanor and infamous Meliodas fight happened in Seven Deadly Sins, which is
Yeah.
like known as like the worst animation ever, and everyone makes fun of that season. I dropped it. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't like ugh. I was like kind of laughing at it, but it was also at the point to where like I'm like I can't watch this anymore.
Was this also the one that botched the ending?
I don't know. I don't know
You
how it
can't
ends,
say.
and
Okay.
I haven't seen the ending.
What was the other one? Was that wasn't Fairytale? Fairytale.
Oh, you mean The
failed.
Promised Neverland?
The Promised Neverland.
The Promised
There you go.
Neverland rushed its ending and
Yeah.
it botched the anime. It like
Yeah.
skipped arcs, literally literal arcs, not just chapters. It skipped. In season 2, we're barely supposed to they were like way less than halfway. They were just
Yeah.
starting. They skipped entire arcs, and at the very last episode, they showed like slides, like still pictures of scenes that you're supposed to see through the manga, but we have no context of what it is about.
Was that like the final like battles of it?
It was supposed to be the end, but like it just rushed everything. There's
So
like
for like, let's say somebody for like Demon Slayer fans, it would be like if they skipped the entire like.
it's like if they skipped if they stopped here like where the anime just left off and they
Yeah.
skip all the way to the end. They skipped the entire Infinity Castle arc.
Oh.
They just skipped everything. They just skip everything, and they just show slides of like the Infinity Castle arc, and they show slides of the Swordsmith Village arc, I guess, or I don't know. They just skip literally everything, and
Huh.
it's like awful.
That's so. I wonder what was going through the animators' heads. Maybe they were like,
I'm
"We
pretty
gotta
sure it's the
finish
studio,
this."
but
Yeah,
what's so
of course the studio, not the animators.
yeah,
Sorry.
but what's so stupid is that the manga was done before then. It was way done before. Like I don't know what they were thinking, and like it was way done. They had so many chapters left and a bunch of arcs. I think by the time they started adapting and animating the second season, the manga only had a few chapters left, and by the time that they released or they were about to release it, the manga was well done by that point. So I don't know
it
what
was animated by Cloverworks.
yeah, and they're known famously now for My Dress Up Darling and Wit Studio as well, animating Spy Family.
Wow.
So like
Huh.
a lot of people were worried when My Dress Up Darling, well not really My Dress Up Darling, but Spy
Yeah.
Family, they were worried adapting because Spy Family was already coming out and people were like that was under the radar. But as they were watching it, like, oh, this is Cloverworks. This is great animation. Why couldn't they have done like the same thing with Promised Neverland? But they screwed that up. So that's always gonna be.
When did they do this? When did they screw this up?
Last year.
Last year. Do you think that maybe it was to get their hands on Spy Family? Do you think maybe the ratings weren't as good for Promised Neverland?
No, because Promised Neverland was so good. I don't understand why they would have dropped it. And they didn't have that much work to deal with. I just don't. I don't know. This happened a year ago, and all the drama in the news that was circling around this happened around then. And I don't know the specifics, but they had the material. They weren't rushed at all. They weren't anywhere near close to the end of the manga. The manga was basically done by that point. And no one was pressuring anything. I don't know what happened. I don't understand what happened. It's one of the biggest disappointments in anime history, and it fell off. And interest in the manga kind of, at least I hope not, but interest in the manga kind of like just dies off whenever something like that happens.
Yeah, of course, because anime is as big of fans as we are of manga, right? Manga doesn't have like pales in comparison to the fans of anime. Yeah.
It's just easy. You just watch. That's all you need to.
Yeah.
Like you just stream, watch wherever you watch it. You just watch it. And reason why manga sales tend to boost whenever they do is because they get recent anime adaptations.
Significantly boost. Yeah.
Or certain arcs happen and they just have to buy it because they have to read it wherever it is. And I always see it in the shelves, and I'll probably pick up the manga, but I hear that it is worth reading and it is good. And it's just sad to hear. It really is just sad. But like Cloverworks, I hope they keep doing good stuff. They are doing great stuff with Spy Family.
Yeah,
they had a great episode this week.
I haven't watched it, and don't tell me because
I'm gonna tell you.
That's where I left off on the manga. So don't tell me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's great. It's just so wholesome. It's just one of those moments where they take like a page and they make it like they take like 3 pages of a certain chapter and they make it into like more than half an episode. And usually that would be a groaner, especially to One Piece fans, where they actually hate when that happens. But in this case,
One Piece fans love it. They'll defend the anime until they die. But I'm not one of those fans.
But this is one of the moments where like it's actually good. Like it's actually like amazing and wholesome, and it's like it's just fun. It's all good times. I'm like what they're doing with the anime.
It's great. That's great. Yeah. It is hot. It is hot right now.
Yeah. What have you been watching other than?
Well, so obviously I'm reading all the stuff. If you go back last week, you'll see all that stuff. But I don't want to repeat myself every week. So if something big happens in those mangas that I'm reading,
nothing
I'll
new.
talk about it. Yeah. But I am watching Ranking of Kings, which
that surprised me.
Yeah, if it came out this year, but it didn't. But it came out last year.
Well, its second half came out throughout this year. Ended in March. Okay. It started last year in October, and then it ended in March.
It ended in March.
Yeah.
I love Spy Family, but Ranking of Kings is just built different. I don't know, like
done by Wit Studios.
Done by Wit. Yeah. But same people, right? Yeah. But they're like, wow, it is a awesome story. It's really, really good.
I hear that. Yeah.
And it's the animation is really cutesy and it's so
that tends to put people off, but it is a very unique style, and people like it looks like a kid's show. But I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but it literally looks like
a kid show made by a Western animation studio, you know. But it's gorgeous. Like it looks like something from a pop-up book. Yeah. There's also this game that I used to play on the Wii, which is like it was called like the Little Kingdom or something, and you played as like a little king and
I think I know what you're talking about.
It reminds me so much of that, but the animation of it and like one of the main characters is like a little like dark blob, you know. Yeah. But it's really good. It's really good. Like I'm really genuinely surprised, and the opening and the ending bangers, just absolute bangers.
What made you pick it up? I'm interested because sometimes like you and I pick up series when each other have suggested we tell each other, hey, you have to watch it.
I thought you watched it. That was one of the reasons.
No, I mean I've talked about it, but I haven't watched it. I'm just curious what caught your interest with it.
Well, my friends Alec and Asal, who are huge anime and manga.
We have friends, people.
We have friends. It's not just us, I promise. But they have they're huge connoisseurs. Alec is a big connoisseur of like
Connoisseur.
small. I'll say something different. He's a big fan of.
No,
like,
I know.
he's not a connoisseur. He's a fan of like smaller mangas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he says stuff like he sent me a couple weeks ago. Like there's this manga I need to check out called Scissors 7.
Oh, I've heard of that too.
Yeah, or maybe it's
That's
an
in my-
anime.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But he sends me a whole bunch of smaller stuff, and I'm just so fascinated. And Ranking of Kings kind of just went over my head.
It goes
You
under.
know,
It's a
yeah.
really underrated series, and it went under a lot of people's radar. But it is gaining traction now.
Yeah,
It is.
but nothing goes over Alex's head. Like
No,
he,
no.
like he's read and watched I think almost everything, and he's really, it's you and him that are really the distributor of what I read and
We're
what
telling-
I don't.
yeah.
Asal is my One Piece encyclopedia. I would love to get him on when you read and watch One Piece more, because he spoils a little bit, so we don't
Oh, yeah.
we don't want to bring him on until you've read a good portion. But he is a wealth of knowledge. Anytime I'm like, who this D tier character is, I'm
Oh,
like,
I know that
what's his
person.
name? And it's like, his name is, and his devil fruit is.
He showed up in
and his-
chapter
yeah.
for something.
Exactly. And it's really impressive. Asal isn't like, he's not a big nerd like we are, but he's a huge One Piece fan.
So he's a nerd.
Well, yeah,
No,
he is
I'm
a
just
nerd.
kidding.
But he's of course, Alec and Asal, they are really cool dudes, and yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And to jump on to that, today we just wanted to talk just a little bit about how,
Well, you didn't answer my question.
What?
Oh, no, yeah, you
I
did.
did. I
They,
did.
they
Ranking of
suggested
Kings.
it to
Ranking
you.
of Kings. They
Yeah.
suggested it to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to jump on a little
Keep
bit
going,
here. That how we read, how we watch. Edgar, why don't you go through your process? How do you even pick this stuff? Like what?
Yeah.
What makes you go? Because for me, it's hard a lot of times to start that anime journey, because that takes time off my day. You know, it
Yeah.
takes time. You know,
Let's start with anime. When I first watched or heard about anime, it's really because with most stuff it comes out in theaters and then shows comes out on the TV. With anime, it's completely different because obviously we're not in Japan and they air that stuff on TV. So
right.
first, I started off with Netflix. That's how I started off because that was the only streaming service that existed back then. So I just watched it on. I started with Attack on Titan or on Host Club. And Soul Eater, although that was on Netflix. I don't know if they're still on there. I know Attack on Titan. Only season 1 of Attack on Titan still is only on Netflix. They haven't updated that thing. At least in the States, they haven't.
Nope.
So that's how I started off. And eventually, I don't know how else I was watching. I think I got Hulu. I was getting into My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
But I was watching the dub. And then, they only had a certain amount of episodes for the dub on My Hero in the current season. When that current
Hulu is up to season 3 on My Hero. I think.
No, it's said to be to 5. Half. It's up to 5, but only half.
But
of
I
it.
think they took away season 1 or something weird like that, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. I just know that
Yeah.
they also have certain series that's they just cut off. Sometimes they just don't.
Yeah.
But they're slow on dubs, and by that, when I was on season 3, they only have up to episode 12 of season 3, and I needed to continue. I needed to know what happens, and I wanted it, and by that point I was a dub only technically, kinda.
Yeah.
So, but I love the dub of My Hero, so I went on Funimation and I got a subscription to Funimation, and that's how I started watching on Funimation. And I just stream. I mean, I don't think I pirated like most. I can imagine almost everyone does. I don't know what the exact statistic, but I always see that in comments. Or
I
where's this?
believe it's 80% of anime is pirated.
He's
yeah.
where do you watch this? Oh, it's in Crunchyroll, or you can just pirate it, or use what you see in the comments. I mean, I'm not judging
right.
anybody who does it because a lot of us are broke, and a lot of people are
Yeah.
in high school. Or, I'm not high school. Not everyone's in high school, but a lot of people can't either afford to or just just simply don't want to.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
And Crunchyroll. I see the face you're making, Ben.
No, I don't.
We're not
I
support.
don't.
We're not. We're not.
I don't. If I ever get hired at Funimation and they find this clip, I
No.
do not. I do not.
No.
I pay and I am. Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's always a gray subject because here's what's interesting is that when people watch stuff like this on Disney Plus, you don't hear oh, you can just pirate Moonknight, or you can just pirate WandaVision on this site.
Right.
So it's interesting that the people are okay with like getting all these subscriptions, but when it comes to anime, at least they are okay with, or at least they don't attempt, or
Yeah.
they're okay with pirating this stuff. But like it seems, at least from what I've seen, everyone just watches other content
Yeah.
on these subscriptions that they pay for. So I'm like
Yeah.
wondering, there's a lot of reasons why they do that, because like sometimes Crunchyroll and Funimation, or at least Crunchyroll now only, because Crunchyroll is like the main thing now,
Right.
is that they don't have certain dubs or subs, or they're just not allowed in certain countries. Because I know they have,
or you have to pay for the subscription for a dub, you know.
yeah,
so,
and I know
yeah.
like Crunchyroll just simply isn't available in other countries. I mean, that's why VPNs are for, but like at the same time, I understand that it's like
VPNs are kind of losing their luster, especially since subscription services like Netflix are now
gotta have to pay for
clamping
it.
down on it. Like, quick tangent. What is Netflix doing? Like, are they trying to drive their company to the ground?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bit confused.
Let's forget about the fact that they're raising their prices to ridiculous rates,
Yeah.
and that they're now wanting to introduce a cheaper option for ads.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about this last week. I'm surprised I didn't. I was going to bring it up because what has Netflix done? Netflix has gone, oh, what is the problem of our subscription service? Why is it going down? Is it because we're clamping down on multiple users for one subscription service?
Which
can't.
which doesn't happen
Yeah.
as much as they think it does.
No, it can't be that. Is it because we're raising our prices by $5 a month? No, it can't be that. It's animation. It's animation, Edgar. We have to destroy them.
It's also because they
fire them.
Let's also cancel the shows that they're interested in.
Yes, exactly. Get rid of The Office. Get rid of How I Met Your Mother and the animation studio. Get the hell out of here. Because
we don't want to pay for the good stuff that they were watching for. Let's cancel. Let's let's not. Oh man.
And I know there's this one old comic, Mr. Bones, maybe it's called.
Yes,
yeah,
Bones. It's just Bones, the series.
Everybody was really excited for that.
Love
'cause
that
it was gonna
comic
make
series.
it. It was gonna get an animation adaptation.
Yeah.
And they
just said screw it.
cut
Like, yeah,
they've
they
cut
just-
it. They've cut it all
Because they cut
yeah.
the animation department, right?
Yeah.
Why would they
And
do?
that makes me really.
Didn't Mitchell's versus the Machines had a shot at the Oscars this year?
Yeah.
Netflix. Why would you stop that? Why would you?
It makes me so nervous because I'm a big fan of the Dragon Prince. Because one of the associate directors who did Avatar did that as well, and
Yeah.
the voice actor who plays
Sokka.
Sokka is the main character, and
Yeah.
he's really good. And the series is really good, and it invokes the spirit of Avatar: The Last
Some of
Airbender.
the best,
Yeah.
one of the best Christmas movies to come out was from Netflix. Klaus, have you seen that movie?
No,
It's
I
so
haven't.
good. It's so
Yeah.
great. J.K. Simmons is in it.
Oh,
I love
that's
watching
great.
it every Christmas now.
Is it animated?
Yes.
Oh, great.
And it's so it's 2D animation, but it looks like 3D. It's a work of art, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. I don't know why Netflix is just shooting themselves in the foot like this. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
They're absurd. I don't know. I mean, but they've been going down for a while. I think
Yeah.
they've been making negative dollars.
They
for
just
like
thought
the
that
past
they could fix
15
it with
years.
this answer, but it's
Yeah.
clearly not working. They lost like what, 1 million or 2 million subscribers.
Well, it's just, and it's also getting harder. Like what their answer should have been to make their subscription less expensive, especially with when you look around. Like, I hate to say it because I don't like how the mouse controls everything.
There are too many.
But
yeah,
I don't like how the big mouse controls everything. But Disney Plus is killing it. Like,
it took away Daredevil. It took
Yeah.
away like a lot of other properties that it had. But yeah.
like I watch Disney Plus like weekly when new Marvel and Star Wars shows are out. So
Yeah.
like they've really that's the subscription service I've really been watching. But
Yeah, but ignoring all that, what Netflix is doing, Netflix has also been having another issue with its anime drops. JoJo's
Yeah.
Bizarre Adventure. Not only does Netflix not have a big category, at least again in the States, because with VPNs or at least in other countries, sometimes I see Netflix in Japan, like seeing My Hero on there is like so bizarre to me when
Yeah.
we don't have it here in the United States. But in the United States, there's a lot of stuff that they don't have.
absurd.
But when they do release anime, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which came out last year, I don't know what month it came out, but they dropped 12 episodes, which is a problem in itself, because when they drop a certain arc rather than weekly, it kind of kills the hype because everyone just binges it.
Yeah.
You can't really talk about a certain series when you drop a series like that and they don't do it weekly, because when it comes to stuff like Attack on Titan or My Hero, any show that drops weekly, there was always hype around it for 1 week, and then you go into the next week and everyone's watching at the same pace, and you can kind of talk about it with everyone because they're at the same place where you are, rather than when they because JoJo was the biggest thing, and they were hyping around the new season. It was by David Productions, a high tier quality animation studio, and no one talked about it because it happened like that, and it went away. And what are they doing? They stretched it out to this fall. There's like the latter half is coming out this fall, and it's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It kills the hype, and they put out the releases like way ahead. They have the second half animated already, and they can simply just drop it, but they just don't want to, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Netflix is like not the best place where I watch anime, which is why I choose Crunchyroll now. Like I said, I don't pirate. I understand your situation. I'm not advocating for piracy, but I completely understand. But also, it's a gray area because it's really kind of like a...
I will say, if you do watch dubs, think about getting that Crunchyroll Funimation subscription. Support those voice actors.
Yeah, because the big argument against Crunchyroll and Funimation when they were going big is like, why should I pay for a subscription like this when they're not supporting the animators? Because that's a confusion. Because subscribing and buying stuff from Crunchyroll and Funimation doesn't... You're right. It doesn't support the animators directly. So it's like, how can I support the animators directly? Yeah. It definitely is a Crunchyroll. So like, what harm is it?
They really make it hard to.
Yeah. So I know, but what can we do? What is good?
Can we just give them an extra minute on their lunch break? Like, please.
Well, what does subscribing to streaming services like this do? At least it definitely supports the dub industry. Because the dub industry definitely does need the hype and the influence, and it does need supporters.
Yeah. Keep on supporting dubs, because these voice actors have, like, what do we think about when we think about dub voice actors? We think about Eric Vale. We think about Chris Sabat. We think about people like Bryce Papenbrook. Papenbrook.
Get his name right.
Sorry. But they're, they are, in my opinion, celebrity type, in terms
they're celebrities to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think of them as.
I think they're great.
I think of them as celebrities.
If I saw one on the street, I would geek out.
Exactly. And they go to cons all the time. But it's really sad that's where they make most of their money is the cons.
Yeah.
A voice actor should be able to go into the booth, and if they're that popular or in a series that popular, they should be making money in terms of that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people I would say more people watch the Dragon Ball dub than the sub. That's just what I think.
I can definitely agree with you. I prefer, if I were to watch it, I've heard the sub of Dragon Ball on it. I'm like, the dub's definitely
I think the sub is great. And it's definitely
Goku's dub is just goated. Like, he's just on another level.
Sean Schemmel is great, but
on another level.
But like the sub of Dragon Ball, I think is better than the dub. Like the OG Dragon Ball. And I think since Super's dub had to be pushed back a little bit, I think a lot of people really, really became accustomed to
the sub.
Masako Aiza. I forget her last name, but her first name's Masako. Voice of Goku, because a lot of people were just like, it's just a granny, but no, she is Goku. Like, let's not get this. She's been Goku for like 40 years.
It's a long time.
She is Goku, but there's just a certain nostalgia and interest in the English dub, I think. But
yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's also not just like, we're not the only ones like that are paying these people salaries. It's also other issues like unions and like fair wages in the dubbing industry. But that's just one way to support, because now thanks to Crunchyroll getting bought out by, or at least Crunchyroll buying out Funimation and having more to work with, I guess they've been expanding. Like, as we said last week, they're stretching out dubs in places, they're adding dubs and a lot more. They have a bigger gallery now, and it's easier to access this gallery, and it's easier to access all of these animes in one place. So it is kind of like a good thing that they're doing now, and it is a good thing to support them. But,
definitely. So Edgar, how do you choose your mangas?
Yeah. Moving on to
we went a little bit on a rabbit hole there.
Yeah. Buying mangas is physically, of course.
Yes.
But if you don't have the space, one thing you got to prepare.
Edgar's running out a little bit of space.
Yeah. One thing you have to prepare yourself for is the money. Because what if you don't have the money to buy the manga? But obviously
I don't, but I still do,
because they just look so good, and that is a direct way that you can. Buying manga actually does support the the manga
Mangaka,
directly.
yep.
Maybe not as much as you think, but it definitely does, rather than just like buying a subscription to something.
Yes.
Shonen Jump Plus is another. Shonen Jump the app is another way I read manga. That's how I read weekly with a lot of series. That's how I read Dr. Stone. That's how I read My Hero, Twin Star Exorcist. I think they just recently added Love is War on there. It's like $1.99 or $2.99, and I think it goes directly to Shonen Jump, which also directly supports mangas. So that's another way to support them.
Yeah.
Bookwalker is another way. You can buy volumes on there for super cheap. It's just great. I mean, there's other cheap ways to buy it, but again, another way people read it is like pirating through scans. That's a big way. I think that's another. I think it's fair to say that most people read weekly manga through scans.
Yeah.
Again,
that's how I read them. Yeah.
Not advocating for piracy, but my rule of thumb, my rule with that is if you're gonna do that and read scans, if you really care enough to read the scans, I would go ahead and buy a volume and like buy the series eventually.
Yeah. I buy. I read all this. I read scans, but I buy the volume. Like I buy so many volumes.
I would at least entice you to at least buy it one way or another, supporting. Because if you're just gonna like I said, it's great because you can't. It's not easy to access, but that's how people, with the big number of people who read manga, I would at least ask you, or at least like it would be in your best interest to support these mangakas by like purchasing something, for the work that they've done. Because there's not really a way for us to do that directly other than to like buy their work. That's why I loved Soul Eater so much, and I loved Fire Force. I just like buying mangas and like buying and reading these series is a way of like showing my support. It might seem stupid, and it might seem like a fan like praising a mangaka too much, but that's just how I see it.
I don't think so. I think in terms of hard work, they deserve it. I think to write and draw a series week in, week out, and if you see the normal schedule of a solo mangaka, they deserve it. So I'm not like, no. I don't think you're
because
wrong
like
on
I feel like a lot of people would agree with me to say that that's like a direct way of supporting, and it feels nice to buy those mangas because
because they look great.
Yeah, and it's just like
And if you're an artist like me, it's always good to have something in paper as you're drawing to take inspiration of. If you're an artist, never draw from memory, always have an inspiration in front of you to draw from, unless you're one of these guys who just, draws Deku in his sleep, like we've seen Horikoshi do. Like when I started out being an artist, I just saw Horikoshi draw and I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. And when the comics and the artists were like, everyone was on fire, like, how does he do it? How does he do it without drawing the anatomy first? And I was like, oh god.
How did you first read your first manga volume? Did you just buy the volume first, or did you just like, I started off in the library in my school. My first series that I read was Soul Eater, and like the way I was reading it is like I picked up the volume. I watched the anime first, obviously, but I went to the school library and they had the first volume there. But I went immediately to where the anime steered away from the manga. I saw the volume there and I started reading it. I like went through it like real quick, and then I like went to the next volume, and then the next volume wasn't there. And then I wrote to the library, "Can you please get this?" Because there's suggestions for them to buy it.
Yeah.
And once they got it, I read it immediately. So there's like there's a bunch of different ways for you to read manga, other than like buying physically. You can rent them. You can go online. You could even ebooks like Barnes & Noble,
borrow
Nook.
from a friend. That's how I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because as I was a kid, I read the original Dragon Ball from my friend, and I was shocked.
Who? I wonder.
I don't want to say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that, and I was absolutely shocked when middle school came around and Dragon Ball Z Kai came out, and I was like, what is this?
Bro, you gotta hand me, give it to me now.
Yes.
Give it all to me now.
Yeah, so I'm actually one of the rare few who has watched Dragon Ball, who read Dragon Ball first and then watched Dragon Ball Z, but
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to consume this. I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to talk on. You also have stuff like for anime, you have Toonami. That was another way. That was a big way that people got into the anime and manga industry.
Yeah, that's how I got into.
Nickelodeon played Dragon Ball Z Kai. When they aired that on television. That was how I got like not into anime, but that's how I like knew that
Yeah.
anime was like, oh, there's more than like this and that.
Well, I know Toonami Adult Swim is still showing.
Yeah.
They still show One Piece.
A lot of people watch
other
the
stuff.
dubs for like Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan when they air weekly. That's how they do it. Or you can buy it physically. That was another way that I like collect.
Yeah.
Like
There used to be a channel on television for Funimation, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
I didn't know that.
Because I used to watch that sometimes. I used to watch this god awful high school drama show with my cousin.
Which one?
I have no idea.
Watch it be like something like Fruit Baskets and people are going to go out your throat. It's like
No, but they'll never know. So I don't know.
I must
yeah.
figure it out now. But yeah, I remember before we move on to our next subject, the first physical copy of an anime that I bought was Hunter x Hunter, because Netflix had Netflix only had a certain amount of episodes of Hunter x Hunter, and I just had to. And again, I think it was on Crunchyroll, but only on sub, and I was only watching dubbed by that point. So the only way I can get the dub was buying it physically, sort of ordered through Amazon. And I was like, oh my god, I finally have it in my hands. I could keep watching the anime, and then I bought like the next 3 volumes until it ended. Yeah. So that was another way that I still think it's cool. I still have those. I still buy them. I also buy them my Hero Blu-rays, and I think I also have Attack on Titan here somewhere, but I think it's in another cover.
Yeah, I'm basically the same as you, but when I read something, like manga has become such a big part of my life and my passion that when I read a new manga, I'm ready to be changed and go on a life journey, you know?
Yeah.
So like I've just started Black Clover, and I already like anytime I read a new manga, I feel like as an author of somebody who wants to do comic books and all that stuff, I feel like I've learned so much and grown so much. So I've just read like 15 chapters of Black Clover, and I'm like, okay, now I'm here. Now I'm in the know. Let me just sit back on this, you know? So it's like, for me, and as cringy as it sounds, I feel like it's like a life journey, you know? Especially after
you do
One
follow.
Piece.
You follow a journey of new characters, and it follows out. And you can and now with you like reading all these series, you can see the connections, the inspirations, the types of arcs, and like the tropes, and like see from a writer's standpoint, like compared to these other series, it's a different. Yeah, you can see it differently.
Yeah, definitely.
All this stuff is good. You can like watch it's not really a point or an argument that we're trying to make. I just want to talk about how we do all these, how we save, and to sum up, save money, and you'll have to be spending money if you really, really get into this type of fandom.
Definitely.
If you really care. If not, you're probably just gonna and I'm just gonna pirate and scan and read scans all day.
Which is fine. That's completely
no
fine.
judging.
But
from
I'm
our
like,
point.
I don't know. Like I love having the volumes, and it's also good to like, because when I read it online, sometimes I buy the volumes. Like I read Jujutsu Kaisen in full online, and now I've collected all the volumes, and I just reread it every time I get a new volume, and I feel like I'm more knowledgeable about the story.
It's like the original stuff. The sacred Jedi text.
The sacred Jedi. Great.
I just dropped in my mind when I thought of that from the famous movie The Last Jedi that everyone loves.
The Last Jedi, yeah.
The sacred text.
Isn't that just oh god. I think that wow, Edgar just pulled out a sequel meme on me, and now that we did that, we need to move on.
There's like 5 sequel
There's like
memes,
5 sequel
and
memes.
I'm pretty sure 4 out of 5 of them make fun of the sequels.
Yeah, exactly.
Palpatine has somehow returned.
Yeah, of course. Anyways, let's
moving on.
Let's move on. Edgar,
we got some hot topics today.
We do have some hot topics today. So manga in Japanese also translates to comic book, and we don't want to just talk about manga on this because me and Edgar are going to get burnt out, severely burnt out.
Yeah.
We want to talk about other stuff that we like, mainly more nerdy stuff that also have, you know, extended lore and extended universes that remind us of manga and anime and all that stuff. So what are we talking about? We're talking about stuff like Star Wars. Like when the Kenobi series comes out, you better believe we're going to be talking about that. But today, we're going to talk about 2 major Marvel projects have just ended very recently. First, we're going to talk about Moonknight, which was fun, which was extremely fun, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it, Edgar, because we haven't talked about it that much because we've been saving it for the podcast, like a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Moonknight just ended last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe. I'm not sure.
2 weeks from the point of this airing, and last week
Yes.
from where we are.
Yes, exactly. and it starred Oscar Isaac in
Daddy Isaac.
Well, I'm not gonna call him that.
Just kidding.
It also starred Ethan Hawke as the main antagonist, and it starred some girl who I don't know her name.
Layla's her character.
And Layla's her
She's a
character
new
name,
actress.
but
I think that she's really new into the game. So
Oh, really?
she's great.
Well, let me check up her name so that
Yeah.
I don't.
I know she's Egyptian.
I think she was. Sorry, I think she was really really good. But it's May Kalamaui.
We're butchering the name.
Kalamaui.
I know she's Egyptian, and I know her character name
Her
was
first
Layla.
name's May. But
May.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, it also starred Kareem Hakim as Khonshu. So he did a really really great job in that.
I thought it was the voice of Optimus Prime or something for one second. Honestly, if you ask me.
Yeah, that would have been good. But yeah, so I think that
In
I
one
think-
word,
yeah.
how did you describe the show? For me, it'd be mid.
Really?
No. Well, here's the. I mean,
All right, go ahead.
I like it.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Well,
first.
I feel like you go first.
Me go first?
Yeah, you go first.
One word.
I was kidding about the one word. I just wanted to make that mid joke.
Well, I think one word is a good way to like.
I'll be
just
serious
put
at
it-
time. You think of your one word, and I'll honestly think of my one word too.
I would say. I would say, if I had to put it in one word, I would say aside, right?
I would
aside
say-
from the main story.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say intriguing in
Intriguing, yeah.
terms of. This is like a lot of people thought. Well, Moonknight is kind of a. I would just like to say is like kind of like a dark in terms of Marvel is like one of the darker, edgier types of like heroes.
Yes,
And people-
Moon Knight is not afraid, as even though the television series has depicted him as somebody who doesn't really like to kill. Moon Knight and Mr. Knight and any of his other aliases, they kill. They
Yeah.
will murder.
Yeah, so a lot of people were kind of
Yeah.
like not hyping, but we were expecting a lot more violence and a lot more gruesome and brutality. It wasn't as violent as I thought it was, but it definitely was darker
Yeah.
and more serious tones than other shows that we've
Yeah.
seen so far, and that was really cool. I thought his costume looked great.
Yes, the costuming is great
For both.
which is because the CGI in this one. This was the only Marvel TV show where I was like, the CGI isn't the best, but
Yeah.
but that didn't like. As long as the story is like good and concise, like Doctor Who, the CGI is awful.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who has a good story, so I continue to watch that. You know.
A lot of big fears that I had for this show, as I've stated before, that I've had fears for a lot of Marvel shows.
Yes.
That I've started to realize is that I feel like there has been a trend of like a lot of these shows, what they had going for them was just questions that need to be answered. I call it the J.J. Abrams hook, like a lot of questions for you to get hooked on the show, and
But no answers.
yeah, or at
Right.
least once you get all the answers, that's all.
Man, he is J.J. Abrams is the king of that.
Yeah,
Lost.
I'll give him
uh,
that. He does know how to hook you in with a lot of questions. It's
But
just-
I don't think that that's a true skill. I think it is a skill. It is an ability that he has. But I think that's like a skill that is just incomplete. You know, because hooking you in
Is
is
only as good
the
as the end.
first part.
yeah,
You know.
but it is still nonetheless a skill.
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of these shows, what they had writing for them was like, oh, what's happening with these characters? Oh, are they going to meet this and that? Oh, like after we know the answers to at the end of the series, is it going to hold up as well?
Yeah.
I felt like a series that didn't pass that test was WandaVision, but we'll get to that when we get more into Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't really have that aspect. It had more. I was more into it just because of the chemistry between Sebastian Stan and oh my God, what's his name? The voice, the Falcon, Captain America,
Captain
Sam
America?
Wilson.
Yeah. I forgot.
Holy
the actor's
God.
Name.
How I feel so bad for forgetting his name.
I know, because I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of his.
What's it? Either way, I'm gonna keep going for it.
Yeah, keep going.
Loki was probably the only one that kind of I liked watching Loki, and I was really interested in what the TVA was, so it kind of half passed the
Anthony
test.
Mackie.
How,
Sorry.
oh my God, I hate myself for that. That's such an easy name to remember.
Yeah, it is.
On your left, Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
The chemistry between
The
him.
goat.
Yeah,
Really. Yeah, he's
Uh,
awesome.
he's chaotic behind
Oh,
the screen.
he is. Well, but I love him. He adds he adds like so much to the MCU cast, and I think that's one of the reasons. I think the MCU has done a really good job of taking side characters and making them, main characters. But I think that Anthony Mackie, just his presence, even outside of the films, has also elevated him to his position where he's now the Captain America.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That, to sum up, my fears was like that the mystery would be like kind of throwing me off of, that it would disappoint me in the end of watching it. But I think I'm not saying that now knowing all the answers, of the show, I was more confused in the end rather than like, oh, I know the answers and I'm bored. I probably could have watched it again. I probably feel like I would still enjoy it because Oscar Isaac is like absolutely great. I love him. He kills it. I love him both as Mark and as Stephen Grant, who's like a little adorableness of a donut ball. He's so innocent and he's so nice, and I feel like the better end of the peak of the show was like the last 2 or 3 episodes, especially the one where we get to see Stephen Grant. Stephen Grant / Mark's backstory, is because we got to see that whole I don't know, not flashbacks, but like kind of doors into like the past of like how Stephen Grant was created. Because like starting off in the show, I don't know anything about Moonknight, so I had no idea with like what this multiple personality disorder. Would you call it that? That's what you call that, right? That's what he has, multiple split personality.
He has dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short.
Okay, so that's what he has, and I was like super confused as to what was going on. I mean, not that it was good but I was like confused. And apparently in the end, I mean, spoilers if you're listening by this point, because we're just talking about the show now that it ended. There's a third personality, John Lockley. Is that his name?
Jake Lockley.
Jake Lockley.
Yeah. In the comics, he has 5. So yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
So
but Jake Lockley, I believe in the comics, is like from the Bronx. So it's interesting that they decided to make him Spanish in this. But I think it was just to show off
his skills.
Hey, Oscar Isaac can also speak Spanish because he can.
Yeah. He's what is he?
I don't know. I don't know what descendants he's from. We'll check that up.
But either way, that was what I was left off confused of. Obviously, comics have the answer, but I feel like if your only argument, like, oh, it's in the comics, I'm like, okay, good. But I wanted to know what's going on.
That's literally me.
Because my question was, if Stephen Grant was created by Mark, what's his name? Mark, what's his last name? Mark's last name?
Spector.
Mark Spector. That's such a cool name.
That's the by the way, so when I started watching this show, because I was really excited for it, I read the original Moon Knight comics. Mark Spector is the original identity. Yeah. So you could take my shock when I realized, oh, Steven is the main identity, and then they flip that, but we'll talk about that later. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
It's apparent that Stephen Grant was created by Mark Spector, who is the original host and obviously the person who was born into that body. So when they both didn't know who Jake Lockley was, when they realized, who is that? Yeah, I don't know who it was. I'm like, well, if Mark didn't create him, who the heck did? Why is he even there in the first place? If Stephen Grant was created to hold the trauma and like be a different personality for who Mark was. And sadly, Khonshu, Dirty Dog, went behind both of their backs to use Jake Lockley as his host to keep him as Moonknight, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because he said, I'll release you, but in the end, we know that that.
No, we knew that wasn't going to happen because the Moonknight is going to continue on, because he is he is popular. But like, I love that moment and the actor, I forgot who I just named him. I forgot his name. No, not Ethan Hawke. The one who plays Khonshu. I forgot his name.
Camille.
Camille. Like his idea, like when he said, but he has no idea how troubled he truly is.
So who created?
Wow.
So I guess you could say that you just have to wait until like the next season, if there is a next season, which probably, obviously, they're gonna do.
Either that or a movie. I could see them doing a movie.
But I was like super confused. But I was also confused as to what was real and what wasn't, because I don't know what was that not insane asylum, but that mental hospital, that the white one that we saw. Yeah, they got us with like when they shot Mark and we thought he was dead. And then
Yeah.
he woke up here like, oh, this is reality. So he was just imagining all this stuff is what we were led to believe. And this Ethan Hawke was his therapist and whatever. But at the very end, it shows that Ethan Hawke was a patient of the hospital or something like that.
He was a patient at a hospital, yeah.
So how did he end up there then?
And I believe he was in Chicago, Illinois. Because in the 5th episode, he says you're in blah, blah, blah in Chicago, Illinois, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So I think.
So he was defeated and he was just sent there?
Yeah, he was basically, because he had a god trapped in him, so he's basically a vegetable at this point, because he can't control all that power. So I think that that's where Mark and Steven, or maybe Layla put him.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, so was the hospital, was all that sequence actually real if it wasn't supposed to be? So I was kind of confused on that end.
It was. So it's not real, but I believe what their explanation for it was that it's the human mind coping with death, or it's the gods helping you, the Egyptian gods helping you cope with death, with things that are more familiar. And the reason why they're in a psychic ward hospital is because they think they're insane, right?
Okay.
So Ethan Hawke's character is basically just trying to talk him down. And I'm guessing if this was a different situation, it would be like his mom, but his mom is a crazy psychopath, so it's not them. And he doesn't have the best relationship with his dad. So I guess the gods were just like, well, let's just choose the guy who, let's just choose the guy who shot him.
To say the least, I was confused at the end. There was a lot happening, and I was like, not my issues, but like I kind of was like, I was confused in the end. I was like, I mean,
I see a lot. I see a lot of people say it was rushed, but a
lot of people thought there's a lot of theories that thought this last episode was gonna be 2 hours long.
Yeah,
I don't know who started that, but people were wanting that to be longer because people were like, oh, it has all this is gonna happen. This has to happen. This has to happen, and this has to happen. So it has to be like this long or something like that.
Yeah, but I like this. I like when stories don't necessarily have to over-explain their endings.
Yeah,
because it leaves up some of it to the imagination. Now, of course, the ending of this was very rushed and the resolution was very rushed. But it's like, but I didn't care. Like, I liked that scene where Steven and Mark together confront Ethan Hawke's, character.
Yeah.
And it's basically, I guess that's supposed to be a metaphor of, people saying like,
I accept who I am.
Yeah, exactly. And people, because I know I've read up a whole bunch about dissociative identity disorder. Because I'm just gonna say this flat out: Moonknight is now my favorite. Is now my favorite superhero. I'll just say it.
Wow.
I love him, and I think it's because the idea of Moonknight, of a dissociative identity disorder, I think that's so cool. I think that is just such a fascinating way to make your superhero. I love him. Now, of course, maybe. So
you're saying Deku isn't your favorite superhero?
Right. Well, mate, I don't know.
Batman Solos.
Right. But I think it's just so interesting. At the very least, he's my favorite concept of a superhero. You know? I think he's great. But I think because I've read up a whole bunch about dissociative identity disorder, and if I get this wrong, I'm so sorry. But this is just stuff that I read up, and I think that the best way for somebody with dissociative identity disorder is to be aware of the other half of your other person's or person. And I think that there are a lot of doctors out there who try to just make them lose it, lose that other personality
rather than like accept it,
rather than taking it in stride, and I think that's what it was Ethan Hawke is like, well, we got to keep working, but in reality, dissociative identity disorder in this show is more of, well, at least I'm not alone. At least I have a friend, which is very nice because they are two separate people. So
yeah. I mean, I think the action is pretty cool, and what frustrated me was that how I feel like the Egyptian for something as important as the Egyptian gods were introduced, because we're introduced. Surprise, surprise. Another set of gods exists in this world.
Yes,
because the Norse gods exist now with Thor obviously existing and all that.
The Wakandan gods exist.
Yes, since like the
Yeah.
afterlife we obviously see.
Well,
so
she
the
even
kings-
says the hippo goddess. I forgot her name. She even says.
Oh, I guess you would count that as since it's like in Egypt and being Africa, and since like
Yeah. Well, she basically says whatever you believe is the afterlife you get. And she says
Oh.
whatever you believe, and then she says you should go to the ancestral plains. Beautiful, which the ancestral plains is where Black Panther went.
to see his father
to
and
see his
the
father
ancestors.
in Black Panther. Yeah.
So
yeah,
if you
yeah.
believe he'll die an honorable death, you'll go to Valhalla.
Yeah.
That
So if
Asgard.
you're like me and you're an atheist, it's just
Nowhere.
nothing.
You just see Stephen Hawking in the end, and the black void says, I was right.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah, exactly.
No, I was like thinking like Jesus Christ. If
Yeah.
Daredevil is Catholic canonically, then
Yeah,
like
maybe.
Jesus Christ exists, and like
Maybe, but I also think I think that the mythologies of the, let's say, somebody like the Norse gods and the Greek gods and the Egyptian gods are just I think they're easier to make stories off of.
yeah, because
if
you
you're
can't.
Marvel Comics.
Yeah, because the Bible doesn't really hand you a lot of good things to
'Cause they're
deal
not,
with.
yeah, they're not really super powered, but those mythologies
Are really easy to adapt with,
Yeah,
especially like
with
with Percy
superpowers.
Jackson and
Yeah.
God of War and the Kane Chronicles. They're just like easy to like. Oh, the god
Yeah.
of this, so you get these powers.
You also have to remember who the reader bases are, because a lot of the readers go to church on Sundays, and how weird would there be like Jesus Christ, man, or something like
yeah,
that?
and I think
you
these
know?
gods are like more since they're more considered mythologies rather than religion now, because you don't see people making a superpower of Judaism. So
Hey,
like,
man, who knows?
Jews.
Christianity might be mythology in the future.
maybe one
That'd
day.
be crazy. Yeah.
like that's so crazy to think about. Man,
Yeah.
all these things that we believe in would just seem like stupid, because that's how it goes. We think that the
Yeah.
that the Earth is the center of the universe, and the next thing you know, we're not.
It's not. Yeah.
But take that as you will. My point is that as something as important as the Egyptian gods
Yeah.
and these superpowers and these hosts that take that the gods take on, I feel like they were kind of glossed over, and we feel like there should have been somewhat of a build up to something as important as this.
Yes. In the comics, most of the villains for Moon Knight are
Other gods.
other gods, other avatars of these gods.
Horus, the god
Yeah.
of war, I would expect to be like such a cool
Oh yeah.
concept, like a god of war host, or like somebody with the power of Horus is like something. Because I read the Kane Chronicles, at least the first book. I know the Kane Chronicles written by Rick Riordan.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people have experience and know all these names when they were watching Moon Knight. Oh my god, I know that because I read that from Kane Chronicles. But something as cool as this, or like they were just kind of like there and really were only used to be like that. That courtroom type scene was frustrating to me because we know that what's the Ethan Hawke's bad guy name?
I don't know. That's a good.
Either way,
question.
he was there, and Mark was like supposed to be there.
Arthur Harrow.
Yeah,
his
Arthur
name.
was like clearly the bad guy, and he was talking to the guys like, "See, I'm not the bad guy. He's clearly a troubled man." And Khonshu's like, blah blah blah. Khonshu, the worst lawyer ever, by the way.
Yeah.
He just yelled at the gods and basically was like saying, "Oh, you gotta kill him. You gotta send him away." Because like,
Yeah, I was kind of unimpressed with Ethan Hawke's Arthur in the majority of
just-
the series, but where really Ethan Hawke shined was when he was Dr. Harrow.
Yeah.
That was really when he was able to show his acting chops, and that was really good. But yeah.
yeah, I mean, that was my gripe with it.
But you also have to, in the comics, Arthur Harrow, just like Agatha Harkness, they are side characters. You know, he is a side character because the main villain.
So there's not
is-
much to work with.
Yeah,
is like
the
what you're
main
saying?
villain of that comic book series is Khonshu, and he's just kind of a throwaway character in the comics. But they're obviously trying to save main heroes, main villains for movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that was my issue. Like, clearly, this guy who apparently was trying to raise a god that was so dangerous, and they just kind of, we don't care.
Yeah.
Or like, you're crazy, Khonshu, go away. We're just gonna lock you up. Like,
Mm-hmm,
as bad of as a lawyer you are. But at the end, she gets resurrected or breaking out of her seal, whatever.
Yeah.
And we get a big kaiju fight, big CGI
Yeah.
fight, baby.
I wonder if people in the MCU just see this on the television and go,
That's another
You
son.
know-
We
you
had
know,
a
like-
we had a giant celestial, half celestial, almost born out of the earth, destroying everything, and now there's a giant hand in the sky. But
yeah,
whatever.
But I think they're just like, yeah, this is Monday, I guess.
But
It's kind of like in My Hero, where where they see, like in the first volume, they see a superhero fight and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be late to work again."
But something as big as the sky changing, and this is my problem with these
yeah.
with these standalone series now that are starting to pop up, because we're gonna get more like Miss
Yes.
Marvel and
Miss
She-Hulk and Hawkeye. The world is like,
Well, She-Hulk is gonna have Hulk in it, so
Well, yeah.
it will be more connected than the others.
But my point is that we're having all these plots and these problems that are kind of too big to involve only these characters. That, like, for if in real life, if this was happening like to the Earth, I think that, like, I don't know, somebody like another Avenger would show up like, "Yo, you gotta stop doing this. Like, what's going on? We gotta help," because like the sky is like turning.
It's
and, like,
the same of like in Hawkeye when they were battling. I was like,
I think
isn't-
Daredevil would show up and be
Yeah.
like, "What's going on, Fisk? Like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, isn't Spider-Man like? Isn't his apartment like right there? And when he was swinging by, like the big Christmas tree was still there, so it was before the events.
so
of
you think
Hawkeye?
Spider-Man would show up and be like, "Yo, what's going on, man?
Maybe
Why are you?"
Spider-Man like looking down and he's like, nah.
I'm off the clock today.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I don't groan, but like I kind of like, I mean, like you can't like keep ignoring like these problems, especially with Eternals, with something as big happening as that. You told me nobody, and I know like the argument against that is like, well, you just want cameos to keep showing up. No, I don't. I want like these stories to get introduced to these new characters. But we're at the point to where like it doesn't make sense in these worlds, in this universe.
So this one I'm more lenient on, because this one, here's the thing: when anything happens in New York, I'm like,
that is
what
true.
are you talking about? Every hero is stationed here.
Yeah.
Hawkeye's here. Doctor Strange is here. Spider-Man is here.
Maybe T'Challa. Well, obviously,
Avengers
Chadwick
Tower
Boseman
was there. But so this one, like the first part took place in London, and it was pretty low key. And then the second part,
Loki.
but but I also think if like this one I'm more lenient on, because I think if people looked up at the sky and saw that happening, I think they'd just be like, That's a weird thing that happened. Like
yeah,
that's
I'd be so frustrated.
But
things happening.
where would they pin that down? Where would they pin that down happening?
But like,
I think, but I
Marvel
also
can't.
I also think if maybe Marvel didn't show like civilians seeing it, you could chop it up as only Khonshu and Steven were seeing it. Seeing that happen. But they showed people going, "Wow, whoa, that's crazy, bro."
But you think Doctor Strange being the Sorcerer Supreme, defending the world from what? How did you say it? Mystical elements. Would you count the gods as that along those lines? Because when you get a bunch of souls start getting sucked up from Egypt all around you, probably by the 1,000. Obviously, they were returned at some point, but thousands of people were losing their souls and getting sucked up into the top of the pyramid.
Yeah,
you'd think that like some sorcerers or the Sorcerer Supreme would show up and be like, "Yo, what's going on?"
You're right.
But that's a
But
nitpick.
Edgar, I think they're banking on you not thinking about that too hard, because they wanted to have a solo. But I appreciate that.
It keeps,
because we haven't had a solo story without a mention of, oh, remember what happened in 2011 New York? And I'm like, God, or 2012 New York? And I'm like, okay, yes, we get it. But there are so many other things that have happened.
You're
in
right.
This universe,
the argument could be said to a lot of films. It's just that they don't. I wouldn't care if they did show up, because we're in this big universe now, and I wouldn't mind. And I don't want cameos. It's just like, could we just accept that all these heroes exist and that they'll be intertwining over and over again, because that's just where we are now, because this universe is just too big. So like, I wouldn't. I mean, the argument, like I said, people are just gonna put me as somebody who just wants cameos, and and I could argue I don't want cameos, because that could take away the spotlight sometimes. But
no, but I see what you mean. But also, there's that part of me that's like, I'm glad that there was no other superheroes, because I think
we might not get that. Maybe that'll happen in the future, and we'll be lucky that we'll get that. This is like the last time we get something like this.
Exactly, because Hawkeye, as much as I loved Hawkeye, because Hawkeye is either my second or third favorite. Moonknight is my favorite Marvel television show.
Hawkeye's
right
my
now.
underrated hero.
Yeah,
it's like I like him a
exactly.
lot.
But Hawkeye, I kind of feel like Yelena was kind of just there. To just because like,
that's
hey, remember that one? It's all connected, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I miss the days of the first phase of the MCU where it was just then, and it wasn't this connected universe, but it was just a solo superhero movie that was good. And you have to say that the writing of this, most specifically the 5th episode, wow, really, really good.
It's funny because I saw people talking about, wow, abuse. And then, like, the Hispanics were like, what do you mean? She's just hitting her with the belt. We get this all the time. We get the chancla every day. It's just like, you never taken a couple hits from the belt before? But but the way they showed it was sad. Because the mom did suck.
Oscar Isaac, when he cries and turns into, like, hard locks into Steven, is, like, really, really good.
I think some of his best acting was, as confusing as it was with, I didn't know who Jake Lockley was, like, his eyes, like, when he switches to that, like, the way he acts, like, it's that famous clip when, like, Jake Lockley, he has that accent, that Bronx accent. Yeah. Just, like, the way he makes his face, like, look different. It's not just the accent. I think that's where Oscar Isaac really shined. Yeah. And how he can easily, like, make changes into these characters.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant. And as somebody whose first Oscar Isaac movie was Star Wars, they really.
I was gonna say Dune, but I'm like, oh my god, I completely forgot.
Yeah,
he
they really did him
Dameron.
dirty, which sucks because he gives one of the worst lines in movies and script writing history.
Somehow, Palpatine has returned.
Exactly. But this one and Dune has really
Ex Machina too.
Yeah, not redeemed him, but he has, like, he was in Ex Machina as well. Yeah, he's always been a good actor who is just stuck in this.
Moonlight was his probably
mistreated franchise.
Yeah, Moonlight was like the Dune, like, did a work with, like, oh yeah, he's in a good film, like in a good, like, you know, because Dune was like Star Wars being compared to Star Wars. Oh, he's in a good Star Wars technically now, even though he did die. But like, but Moon Knight has, like, put him on the, this is it. He's up there now. Yeah. He's big. Like,
no,
you know
definitely,
what I mean?
Definitely. And I think I like the way he chooses his scripts now, because after Star Wars, he's been more careful about choosing it. But what really impresses me, because this is classic Marvel, is they take something from the comics, an idea from the comics, and make it more dramatized, like it is a screenplay, like it is a big movie. Because in the comics, right, Mark Spector is just there in his house one day, and his dad's like, shows him a movie, and then one day he's like, "Oh, where's me mum? You know, I'm Stephen Grant. You know,
it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. You know." And his dad's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, dissociative identity disorder." And
where'd you learn that word?
You know, and exactly. And he just has it, right? But this one, where and how it normally happens is through trauma, is through an event that happens in your life. And I think Oscar Isaac did and the writers did a brilliant job of showing someone, because I don't think we've had someone that has trauma like this in the MCU. Mm-hmm. Like
I mean,
they all have trauma,
like
but,
this,
like this, like, you know,
Tony Stark had PTSD, and that's like not, it's like its own thing, and it's not. But I mean, something that affects, like, your literal life, like, even when you're going through, like, depression and, like, PTSD, you have a certain set of, like, family and friends and social people to be around with, to support you, or at least to vent to, or, like, to be away from. But, like, these are two people living two different lives that don't even, like, that, like, are, like, at a war with each other, even through day-to-day things, to the point where you have to lock yourself to your own bed to make sure you don't leave, because who knows what you'll do. Yeah,
it's great. It's really, really good.
Your rating for this?
My rating for this? I don't know. I don't know about ratings.
I feel like
ratings are so hard.
You're right. But I will say that, at least to me, I thought it was probably the second or the best show, but that I would like to say that doesn't say a lot, in my opinion, because I feel like the shows have, well, as good as they were, and as much as I enjoyed them compared to, like, the best of the best that TV shows have had to offer, they have been okay. Yeah. So, and I feel like these shows, I'm at the point to where I'm watching them, like, this was the first time where, like, Ben would, like, mention, like, "Oh, have you seen, like, the new episode?" And I'm like, I guess. You've probably felt that with, like, Boba Fett, and, like, I forgot, like, What If.
You were like that with Boba Fett, too.
I haven't even finished What If.
God, I was so angry that you weren't caught up to Boba Fett.
I mean, I'm sorry, man, but, like,
no,
I feel like I'm at a point where I'm starting to get, like, a Marvel
fatigue.
Yeah.
Well, but see,
Where I'm watching,
yeah, I got that during Spider-Man No Way, Far From Home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because you didn't watch it.
no, I was like, it's over, it's done, like it's finished.
Yeah,
There's
you're
nothing,
right.
There's nothing else.
That was after Endgame, so I definitely don't blame you for that.
But I liked Far From Home after I watched it 3 years later. But now I'm like WandaVision had fully put me on the hype train, and as much as people hated the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that just continued. I really like that series. You know, I like all the Marvel series.
I feel like my fatigue started from WandaVision, or at least at the end of WandaVision, and I'm starting to just now realize it, because I feel like, at least to me, once I started watching the show, I feel like if this wasn't a Marvel property, and I told you a bunch of times off microphone. I was gonna say off camera, off microphone. Off this podcast, I've mentioned it to you, to where like if these shows weren't Marvel properties, and if these actors weren't playing these characters, but they had the same story and they were playing like these same shows, would we care about them as much if they weren't? And would we judge them more harshly if they weren't the MCU, and if this character wasn't Loki, and if it wasn't Wanda, and if it wasn't Moon Knight?
Right.
So,
but that also comes to another topic of, would I judge my hero more harshly if it wasn't, a manga? Would I judge other pieces
I see
of
your
literature?
point.
But exactly, and this is where it comes down to it, is sometimes you have to realize what something is and then enjoy it for that. This is why when people take, and it's completely fair criticism of the Star Wars prequels, and it's fine. Yes, but also when I watch it, the utter enjoyment that I feel overcomes my
it blinds you.
Yeah, my writer.
No,
it does. Yes,
no, I know.
It does, but it's fun blinding.
The way I'm phrasing it is like, you're right about the manga thing, but that's like one story. I'm saying like
Exactly.
like original, because this is like its own thing.
But is this not
like
Is the MCU
that's
not
what I'm saying.
one story?
The MCU is one story,
Just
but when
with
they're
different chapters.
But when they have their own phases and they're separating it in their own movies, and now
Yes.
this is a show, it's like its own entity, to where like it's in its own story. So you could say the Star Wars is its own universe and it's a one story.
It
Like,
is.
How
It
would you
is.
take the sequels? So I would like
The
we
what? They don't exist, Edgar.
That's what I'm saying, is like what.
Here in Boston say
Just-
the sequels don't exist.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the sequels were much worse and failed much harder. But
Yeah.
if they were, like, let's take Han Solo. As much as that's like a very divisive. That's a very divisive,
Yes.
a divisive movie.
I understand.
And like, it's like, yes, the original trilogy was great, and the prequel is now getting like a lot of praise. But because of that, can we not judge
Yes.
the
I think with these universes, right? Because these people, here's the thing. Sometimes you can create an awesome universe, but not write a good story within that universe, right? I think
That's simply my argument. I'm not trying to diss on the show. I just feel like a lot of people.
I see exactly what you mean. Like Andrzej Sapkowski, who writes The Witcher, right?
Yeah.
I like The Witcher books, but I think CD Projekt Red, who do the video games, I think they handle that world better, than the original creator. So I give him praise for creating the world, but I think it's written better by other people. Stan Lee, he's written this world, but I think the MCU sometimes, makes that better. But I do see what you mean. But I think with these worlds and with manga and things that are a long stretch of stories, sometimes you have to take something in and go, okay, I'm reading this One Piece chapter. Is this good literature? What is it rated on literature terms? And then what is it rated on One Piece terms, right?
Yeah.
Because Star Wars films specifically made me realize, is this a good film? And then ask, is this a good Star Wars film? Because I think The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars film of all time, but there are arguments to be made that it is one of the better Star Wars films.
Written,
Which I also don't
probably,
agree with. But,
yes, I'm probably seeing it more as a critique rather than a turn off brain enjoyment like it is an MCU.
But you also have to realize my job for the longest time has been getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So that's why I love manga. That's why I love the MCU and Star Wars, because I can turn my brain off and I don't have to get in there.
You're right.
You know,
I
and
did like the
just, you know,
show, but in the future, when a new show comes up, and then I
Yeah.
think the next one is Miss Marvel. Well, technically Obi-Wan, but I'm talking about the Marvel.
MCU. Yeah.
So when the
is
next
Miss
show
Marvel's.
comes along, I'm gonna look at it. I'm like, do I really have to watch this just to get a cameo joke that will pop up in the next Avengers movie?
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's your name? Oh, I thought it was this. With like, I'm like,
But
I
isn't
watched
it-
the show and I get
Yeah.
it now.
But isn't it going to be so gratifying when you see Moon Knight interact with other people? I feel like for me, that's just going to be so good. Because one of my favorite posts in the comics is when, I don't know if you've seen this, but when Spider-Man is like, okay, Jake, listen. And he's like, oh, actually, I'm Mark now. And he's like, okay, Mark, listen. Actually, I'm Steven. And he goes, oh, okay, Steven. And he goes, actually, I'm Mark again. And then he slaps him. I think that's so funny, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I think that this was a good exception, and I think it didn't fall, because you can also talk about the problems of the other movies, of the other television shows, how they don't have high enough stakes because they're trying to save those for their like the high stakes for their own solo movies, right? Because in that case, we get bad villains like Carly, you know,
Yeah.
who
I just
you
wish
know,
that it's, and again, I'm gonna sound critical here. It's just like those things shouldn't have to happen, because
Yeah.
they should just be good shows in general with
Yeah.
good writing. So yeah,
But
I still enjoyed
I
it.
get you. I get you. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And to me, it just felt like a lot
Yeah.
of people overhyped it, and that was like my I couldn't understand, and I felt like
Maybe-
people, and I
yeah.
felt like people weren't like weren't looking at, were like being blinded by that.
Yeah.
But I do see your point, and I feel, and I'm seeing myself as I'm being a bit of
Yeah.
a too much critique. I just wanted to say that.
Since our main things that we talk about are things with long arcs and long characters that have their own specific styles, maybe our way of rating is writer brain and enjoyment brain.
Yeah.
You know,
I
So-
just put them both together.
Yeah.
I tend not to do that.
Well,
so,
separate them for
For a bit?
writer brain for Moon Knight. What would you give it?
like a 7 or 6 out of 10.
That's exactly what I would give it a low medium 7.
But the reason why I'm
But
more towards that,
episode 5 being 10, but I think the first 4 episodes were lackluster.
yeah.
Yeah. But
But
enjoyment brain for me, 10 out of 10. Like
For me, it's-
I loved it.
For me, it's like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which is probably
Sure.
why I was a bit more harsh with critique, because I still, even if it was good writing, I would still
Yeah.
only kind of impressed and entertained, mildly entertained by Moon Knight. So
Yeah.
so that's why I was like, why I couldn't like see it and enjoy it as much, because I thought it was like, okay, that was
Yeah.
good.
Well, I was super impressed. Like in episode 4 when he dies in the water and he goes out. I love when things are like mysterious and kind of like make you wait. Like I love that sequence of him in the psychic ward.
Yeah,
Like, I love that.
My
yeah.
favorite moments was with obviously Mark Steven dealing with each other.
Yeah.
Because that was super interesting. And Layla with Steven was like wholesome. Also / cheating ? But it's
Yeah.
the same body. That was funny. I like that a lot. Layla
Yeah.
becoming a superhero. Apparently she has her own name. She's in the comics. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
She looked like Wonder Woman.
I think it's something scarab, you know. Yeah.
yeah, but she
yeah.
looked like Wonder Woman with the wings and like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gold,
yeah.
and like I just thought it was funny.
I think she definitely has the potential to earn like her own series or, you know, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her a lot.
Yeah,
and
I thought she
the
was great.
score was my favorite.
Oh,
part.
I'm singing
like-
that. I'm singing that all
the
the time.
score was really good. Bum,
Yeah.
bum,
Yeah,
bum, bum,
it's
bum,
really
bum.
good. Oh, yeah.
So that was like,
yeah, it's good.
It's
And the
yeah.
shots with the moon and stuff. Yeah, I love this series.
So I like
Yeah.
those moments. Those are
Yeah.
probably my favorite moments.
But my favorite part was when Mr. Knight started getting used to the action and stuff, and when he beats.
oh, you mean Steven's
yeah,
version of
Steven, Mr. Knight. When
it? Well,
he,
that's his name. I just didn't know what.
yeah,
Yeah.
when he knocks Arthur Harrow to the ground, and he does like the fix his clothes and stuff, and then continues like that moment. I was like, yes, I was like, this is awesome. Like I love that was when I was like, oh, I I gotta read these comics, and I did, and I was like, and I spent all night reading the comics, and I am in love with Moon Knight, dude.
You know
I
that
love
meme?
him.
You know that meme with Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya?
Yeah.
Like with Timothy Chalamet's like, what?
Oh,
And then Zendaya's
that's
like,
us right now.
Yeah, that's like Ben's like Timothy Chalamet. I'm like Zendaya, just like okay.
That's literally me. Like I'm literally like, yeah, like Moon Knight, let's go.
I'm glad people love it, and I
Yeah.
liked it,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my thought on it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great.
I don't know. We're in the middle of before we move on to the big subject, how would you say your anticipation is for Miss Marvel, the new show? Yeah, me too. I saw the trailer. I'm gonna be honest. I saw the trailer for Miss Marvel, and I was like, I'm not into it.
It looks like
I'm probably gonna skip it.
It looks like the movies. What Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies?
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
to
it
me.
does. I mean, and there's a lot of a lot of people are supporting it, and
Yes,
you know,
of course.
and a lot of people, but it feels like that this is going to be one of those things, one of those shows where if you critique it, you're going to come out as like, you know, this and that,
right?
Because it is this is the first Muslim heavy, or at least the first upfront Marvel character that is a Muslim.
Okay,
a woman superhero. Go that. Like, I'm all for that. I mean, but I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, like this is going to be the best thing because of this and that. Yeah. And I feel like I'm saying a lot of that. And I feel like if I critique it or say otherwise, I'm going to come off as a, you know, racist. But I just saw what I saw, and I saw the superhero, and I feel like a lot of comic fans are unimpressed and don't like it because they changed their superpowers or something like that.
They did. They changed their superpowers because their superpowers are more similar to Reed Richards.
Yeah.
And with the Fantastic Four movie in development right now, I think they were afraid of you know, getting over that.
And Kevin Feige made a tweet about it, and I feel like a lot of people don't like that, which is weird to see Kevin Feige on the wrong side of things.
Yeah.
Well, not that there is a right or wrong, but a lot of, you know, the usual supporters of the MCU.
I don't know. I mean, Sam Raimi did the same thing, and nobody really cares about, you know, about how they changed Spider-Man's superpowers. But because it's in the same vein as how Sam Raimi changed the superpowers. My main issue is that I feel like Marvel has done such a good job of getting experienced and really, really good actors. You know,
and that isn't to say you can't get new actors.
But she looks so young, and I think she's supposed to be the same age as Tom Holland's Spider-Man was in the first movie. And Tom Holland looked like it was 21 in that movie.
I mean, well,
you know,
to me,
that's my word.
It just didn't capture my attention. It isn't. You can't. I'm not gonna say that the demographic is supposed to be only for females or for like people who are able to relate to like because she is Muslim. It's not. It's meant to be for Marvel fans. It is in the MCU. So normally MCU fans should be like looking forward to it. But this is the first trailer that I saw. I'm like, I don't know. It's just not. It doesn't have anything in for me.
I am. It has piqued my interest, but I'm going in with nothing. So I hope that it can pleasantly surprise me.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably not gonna watch it, but I'll probably hear from you. And if it is good, then I'll watch it.
Sure. Yeah. I'll get you on that. But
that is like in the general consensus is divisive. A lot of people are turned off by it and not gonna watch it, and a lot of people are interested.
The Marvel shows are beginning to worry me now that the movies are coming back. Because they're big stars, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan are probably going to be in the movies more, and I'm afraid that these
shows are
going to be more like how Jessica Jones and like Luke Cage were in the net, and those shows are good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to be afraid that they're going to be more low key. You know, keep doing this stuff. Keep doing, because with series,
what makes these series great is that they're at the fourth. They're supposed to be as canonical and as important as the shows.
Exactly, and they offer for a different point of storytelling. I don't think Moon Knight would have been as good as it was, in my opinion, if it was a movie, right? But it's also, I'm afraid it's going to run into the same issues that, you know, Star Wars has, because Star Wars movies recently have been god awful.
Yeah,
but the series, killing it. The series have been killing it. As much as you can hate on the Book of Boba Fett, right? The production value was there, the acting was there, the good directing was there. It just faltered.
Writing questionable.
Well, it just faltered a little bit on the right. I just don't think. I think that they wasted all of their good ideas on the Mandalorian. But we'll.
I think it
we'll
was a
talk about
mistake
that.
putting the Mandalorian in there, to say the least.
I don't think so. I think
At least having his own 3 episodes.
having his own. He had 2, but having his own 2 episodes, yes, that was an issue. But I also think that was them trying to. I don't think Boba Fett should have ever had his own show to begin with, but hey, it's the biggest Star Wars show on Disney Plus. So there you go.
The Mandalorian, I would say.
Nope.
What?
Boba Fett had like 300,000 more people view it.
Well, Boba Fett is more recognizable. I don't
Yeah,
blame them for that.
exactly.
But I would say the most successful is, well, the Clone Wars. Would you say the Clone Wars or the Mandalorian is the most successful Star Wars show?
The Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is, in terms of critical opinion, the Clone Wars is the best. The Mandalorian.
I just feel like the Mandalorian everyone
Yes.
got into, even the normies.
Yes, the Mandalorian is good, but Mandalorian doesn't have the power to change an entire fandom's consensus on 3 films.
Not mine still. I haven't made it yet. I'm still I'm drudging through
Yeah,
season
man.
2, as I said before.
Well, but
We'll get there.
Revenge of the Sith is one of your favorite films.
That is
still,
true. That is
so yeah.
probably my second or
Yeah.
third favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about Star Wars another time. Let's not dive into that. Edgar, let's take a break. My voice is
Yeah,
dying.
I gotta take a water. Break time, and we're back from break.
We're back, all hydrated up or dehydrated because we went to the restroom. I don't know what.
We don't have to tell them that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
We went on a break for the first time.
For the first time ever, yeah. 'Cause this is a long episode. Edgar.
Yeah, it is. Well, it is a lot of. We
Yeah.
got a lot of pack in because I wanted to talk about the stuff because the manga and anime stuff before because I felt like we just kept putting it off over and over again. So
yeah.
we talked about it, and Moonknight went on a bit longer because that was kind of my fault. I kept on ranting.
No, you're fine. You had a lot of strong opinions about it.
I also have a lot of strong opinions about Multiverse of Madness. But wait, I'm gonna put on the pause breaks. Something happened before we watched Multiverse of Madness. Something big that I was kind of anticipating and excited for. The Avatar 2 trailer, The Way with Water. I hyped it up myself before because I was actually one in a million people who was actually excited for Avatar 2.
Yes.
But a lot of people are into it. It got like
Yeah, it got good
143
reception.
million views on YouTube for the trailer. And it has a lot of people are interested in it, and a lot of people are actually excited for it, and they're really impressed by the CGI. And I told everyone everyone who were just surprised now. I called it. Don't doubt
Nice.
James Cameron. He is the GOAT of sequels. He made 2 of the best sequels ever made. Terminator 2, Aliens, and he made the Titanic. Why are you doubting him?
I'm not doubting him.
No, not you. Not you. But
I've just never cared for Avatar.
not you. Well,
Blue people.
I'm gonna
anyway.
take racist much. Blue people. Wow, that's what we're calling them.
Yep.
Ben doesn't care about Smurfs or whatever. Who else?
No.
The Blue Man
No.
Group.
Kill him.
He doesn't care about you.
Kill him.
Wow, you're just telling him to kill the Blue Man.
Murder. I was going for the bad guys in that first movie.
I was going for my own race. Excuse me, the humans.
No, but I've never. The first time I watched Avatar, I had to stop halfway through because I got motion sick.
Rip.
So yeah,
I'll probably
I've
take you
never
without
been
3D.
Interested.
I'm still gonna drag you to the movie.
Don't drag me to see
What?
this, please.
Ben,
Please
it's
don't.
Avatar 2. What are you talking about?
But
Not
I
even
don't
if it's
wanna-
good.
Yes, go watch it and tell me if it's good. But I don't know. I just couldn't.
You're missing out, man. I'm actually. Well, point is, a lot of people are into it now, and they're intrigued.
You know that meme of Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya?
No,
That's
no,
literally
no,
us
no, no,
right
no,
now.
no, no, no. In this case, you're wrong. Anyway,
Yeah. I'm wrong.
What's funny is that
Yeah.
people just kept putting this. People have been putting this
Right.
film off because they're saying, "Oh, no one's remembered this movie.
Yeah.
CGI is the only thing that holds it up." Can you name one character from the movie? Can you name one character from any movie? Name the character from Get Out, Ben.
Get Out?
Yeah.
I didn't watch Get Out.
All right. That's my what?
Oh, Get Out?
No, you haven't watched it. I know you haven't.
Oh no,
No.
Get Out the horror movie. Sorry,
No,
I don't
you
know-
haven't.
I don't know why I did watch Get Out. I don't know why when you said Get Out.
I don't believe you did.
I had the idea of
It's
the
a-
I had. Oh, what's that?
If you
what's the
haven't,
hold
it's-
on. What's the Pixar movie of the
Inside Out.
Inside Out. I don't know why thought you were talking about Inside Out, but yes, I did watch Get Out. And
If
I
you
don't-
haven't, it's okay.
I don't remember a single name.
Well, the point is that argument is stupid because a lot of people don't remember
Right.
any names from big movies that they like anyway.
Yeah.
Like other than Godfather, like I'm pretty sure people can't think of names other than
Get Out.
Corleone.
That's a good my boy.
Yeah, I know, right? But I don't know. I just feel like a lot of its
Yeah.
hate and like dismissiveness
Sure.
is like. I mean, I'm not saying it's unwarranted. It could be dismissive
Yeah.
because the script wasn't the strongest point. But I feel like calling it a forgettable movie when it keeps getting.
Yeah.
It always gets brought up when people talk about forgettable movies. In an ironic
Yeah.
sense, it's never forgotten because.
Don't get me wrong. I think it is a good movie. However,
Nope, this is where they end it.
however, the number one grossing movie of all time. No, it's not even.
Well, you gotta
it
keep-
shouldn't even be close.
Well, you got to keep it in mind that it was seen as an experience that people kept. It was in theaters for a long time just because it was the movie to see because of how impressive it was looking at it, and the CGI definitely holds it up at time. And it was
Sure.
it was the only movie meant for 3D, and it was like the biggest selling for 3D. And after that,
Yeah, but
it got spawned a
I
bunch of
hate-
3D.
I hate 3D.
Well, that's you. Ben gets motion sickness, but like 3D was the
Yeah.
biggest thing when theaters came out, and it was overused.
Yeah.
I mean, sure,
Sure. I just feel like it. I feel like it was hot, and then it died off so.
yeah,
fast.
but my point is that Avatar is the
Yeah.
reason for that. It was.
It also makes me angry because I think that's one of the reasons why the Hobbit films didn't do as good as it was supposed to because they were
I forgot they were in 3D as
yeah,
well.
because they were so focused on getting it to 3D because that was the hot thing in 2013.
Yeah, I think I still have one of. I think I have all of the original Hobbit Blu-rays in 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Very good.
I mean I have them in 4K now, but those are great. Look great, by the way. But my point it being, I don't think Avatar should just be dismissed as the movie, especially when people are now impressed with the second trailer, which I was excited for. It looks great. I'm going to be in theaters watching it.
I see what you mean, but
As a bunch of other people. Well, I can say the same about Obi-Wan, Ben. How do you feel? So I said that.
well, but that's not true because you texted me the other day that you were hyped for it. so-
Actually, no, that wasn't true. I didn't even text you about it. You were the one that texted me.
I did.
about
I
it.
said, "Did you watch the new movie?" And you
I said, yeah.
And you said, "Yeah, hype."
That's it.
Yeah, hype.
It wasn't in
Hype is
caps
good.
or anything.
But
Hype
but-
in text
but-
is
but
like
you-
cool.
But if you sent me the Avatar 2 trailer, I would go, yeah, I saw it.
I would assume that is the equal as hype.
no, it's fine. I was all jokes aside, I was really impressed. The CGI looks great, but I am concerned that this movie is going to be missing a conflict, is going to be missing any of that stuff. I am concerned
the only thing
that
I'm
it's just
concerned-
going to be the world, and that's not,
My concern is that why did they make 2 more movies, or why are they were in production when they haven't even released a second one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
it's
know.
slated for 2 more, and I'm like,
Yeah.
really bold move for you to do that when the second one is just barely coming out.
Yeah.
So
It's
we'll
ki- It's
see.
kind of like Game of Thrones doing like or announcing a sequel series like before it ends,
Or
Yeah.
especially after how bad
Yeah.
the show
8th
ended off
season,
on.
Yeah.
So to sum up, that's what we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
Go check it out, the trailer online. I'm hyped for it. Anyway, moving
You
on to
don't
the
ha-
big
you-
topic.
You don't have to. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you do. You have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben's really trying to downplay this, but
I could not care.
watch the
less. I'm
turntables
sorry.
on this next subject because the next subject is Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness. If
Yeah.
you haven't seen it by this point, I don't think you really much. Should we have a spoiler? I feel like we should just go straight into spoilers because it's been 2 weeks after. By the point of this release, it's been 2 weeks.
Before we do it, would you recommend it, Edgar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend it too.
If
Go-
you're
go-
if you
go
like
watch it,
if
yeah.
you like the Marvel if you're into the MCU by this point, definitely go check it out. And
We're-
especially since Sam Raimi is back, he
Yeah.
did the original Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man trilogy,
Yes.
and he is also known as a horror director
Yeah.
for Evil Dead. And
He's a great, brilliant director.
I
know. Was Evil Dead the one that broke the record for most blood for most?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I know a movie he did broke the record for most fake blood in a movie. But
probably for a movie
but-
as Evil Dead.
real quick, just to preface about excuse me. Oh,
Wow.
God. About spoilers is we are going to be very, very, very careful about spoilers for mangas, spoilers for animes, and stuff like that, because we are a manga and anime channel. But when it comes to
And they're
stuff
always
like,
ongoing. They're always
Yeah.
like weekly. So like
exactly. So
So-
like next week we're going to have a Shonen Junk about One Piece, and I've been very meticulous not to spoil anything for Edgar,
Yeah.
not to get, not to ruin anything for his experience. But when it comes to the MCU, when it comes to when we talk about other stuff, we're going to be a little bit more loosey-goosey. We're going to assume that you've seen it.
Yeah.
And if not, go watch it, then come back.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're just, I mean, we're not going to go straight into spoilers. We're going to talk about our general thoughts to begin with in general,
Sure.
and then we'll go straight into the good stuff. But we're not going to put a spoiler section because, like I said, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to watch it by this point, or at least if you're listening by this point, you probably.
You just don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But either way, you're probably here to hear our thoughts, and because you've probably already seen it. So good for you. Ben, what are your first thoughts? Or what were you going into right before you saw this movie? Did you have any hype? Did Sam Raimi being the director of this movie have any oomph to it? Were you looking forward to that in any way?
Yes. This is a Sam Raimi movie. I will say that. This is very, very Sam Raimi. There's a portion at the beginning that is akin to Spider-Man 2, and I really, really enjoyed that.
It jumps right into it.
It jumps right in, and I was really appreciative of that because I feel like the last couple of Marvel movies I've seen, specifically Spider-Man No Way Home, has really had kind of a slower start to it, before the main topic really gets hit on, like the reason why you're there. Like, sorry, I'm not there for Spider-Man's college woes. Like, I'm not there for that. But not that I hated that, but
Well done.
But yeah, wow. But yes, I think Sam Raimi adds his flavor to any movie that he does. However,
Except for the Oz.
yeah,
the great
of
and
course.
powerful.
Of course. But I think one of the issues with this is he was brought in too late, right? Because if you didn't know, there was a director at the beginning who wanted it to be more horror.
The original director,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, he was slated to be the director of the second sequel film,
Yes.
this one. And he's also known as a horror director. So it feels like Marvel was always wanting to kind of have this horror element to these films, even though the first one
Well, a lot
wasn't.
of the stuff in the Strange comics are scary.
Yeah,
like,
so-
the multiverse in the MCU is not framed as like a glorified thing like Sony has made it seem to
Yeah.
be in the
supposed to be
into the
dangerous.
Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
But in the actual MCU comics, the it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah. And they did choose Raimi next to be in line. I don't know how far in production they were in. It was definitely before shooting, right?
Yes, it was.
So, and there's a lot of talk, especially now, as to how much involved of Raimi's creativity was and of how much control he had over the vision of this
Yeah.
film. His footprint and thumbs are all over this film. So don't be worried about that.
Yeah.
But there's still discussion going around on how much of a say he still had in it, because there was a lot of I don't know. I don't bother to cite the sources, but the fact that people are talking about it warrants enough to see if it actually is true.
But Sam Raimi, like, it's a very Sam Raimi movie because we know that Bruce Campbell's in it, because he's in it. But also, to touch on Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi can't say anything because obviously he wants to come back and direct more things for the MCU. He wants to direct more.
He wants to do
stuff.
the fourth Spider-Man.
Yeah,
still.
of course. I'm sure he does because he had such a great idea for it, which was supposed to be the third Spider-Man. Bruce Campbell was supposed to be Mysterio, and yeah. But Bruce Campbell actually has come out and has complained for Sam Raimi because Sam Raimi can't say these things, and him and Bruce Campbell are really close friends.
He has a job with him.
Yeah, and Bruce Campbell doesn't care. Bruce Campbell's an A-list actor in Hollywood. Like who cares? He doesn't. And he talked a little bit about how the MCU pulled him back quite a bunch
With this film?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was true.
Yeah.
What I heard is true.
So
yeah.
apparently there was 2 hours and 40 minutes originally for this film, and they cut it down to 2 hours and 5 minutes. And there's a lot that Kevin Feige looked at and just went, "No, we can't do that."
Yeah. And to preface this before we start getting into it, it might sound like I'm going to be attacking more than defending because
I think that goes into any review, really.
Yeah,
you know?
but for this one, I was on the side of to where I was not as much impressed
Yeah.
Even though, because Ben, me and Ben after the movie, we were like, "Oh my God, can we believe this happened?" Like we were all excited. But the more I started to mull over it, and the more I started hearing other opinions, and some people might think, "Well, why should you listen about other people's opinions when you have your own?" True, but I want to hear what everyone thought about.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised to how not controversial it is, but a lot of people is not divisive. A lot of people don't like it.
I think the vocal community is louder and I think the vocal community of that is smaller than we think it is. I think a lot of people actually, from what I've heard, I haven't heard a single person from my friend group say that they hated it. I heard a person say, or I've heard them say, yeah, it was awesome. So I haven't like, I'm of the opinion that it is awesome. It's one of my favorite.
It just surprises me, and I'm like I said, I'm gonna be. It's gonna seem like I don't like it as much coming forward. But even then, with my own opinions, I was shocked to be like, really? Wow, y'all don't like it as much as I thought y'all would be. Like, I'm surprised. But I talked to my brother about it. When I talked to him about it, I was defending it more than.
Did
judging.
he hate it?
He didn't like it at all. Well, he didn't hate it. He just didn't like it, and he wasn't impressed by it. And my dad.
Okay, but I also think. Okay, here's the thing. When coming into this, right, there is a lot more madness than there is multiverse.
That's exactly what I said in my review.
Yeah.
You don't, and that's and I get that. I don't. A lot of people say like, oh, what do you want? Like, rumors were to be like, do you want Tom Cruise in this? Do you want to see the entire Fantastic Four? Did you want to see Deadpool? If that's all you wanted, then clearly this wasn't the movie for you. I mean, we get it, but. My issues were really the writing, and some of the issues are amongst other things. This is definitely the best visual spectacle of a film that Marvel has put out. Like, because this has some amazing like visuals, and and the fights that are in this film were like crazy, like off jumping right off the comics, and something that only Sam Raimi to do. So I'm really glad they did it. I can't tell where they put him out as, because he definitely didn't write it. They got the writer for Loki of it. The writer of Loki, or at least one of the writers of Loki, was the writer of this film.
And Loki was very well written, by the way.
Yeah,
Loki was very well written.
I mean, some people might argue if they didn't like the way Loki, especially with Sylvie, a lot of people didn't like it.
I loved Sylvie. I don't know.
Right.
But so let's jump into more spoiler specific.
Yeah, I'm going all over the
things,
place. I'm sorry.
Because we're jumping. Yeah, we're jumping all over the place. Those are our main thoughts. Edgar still enjoyed it, but he is skeptical of a lot of things.
Yeah, I liked it, but I have there's a lot of things that I don't like about it, and that I have a lot of gripes over that we're gonna get into.
Yeah, I get you. So we're going into more spoiler heavy things. I just want to talk about real quick, because we knew there were going to be cameos in this movie, right? So let's talk about them, preface them a little bit, and kind of just talk about. Are you about to eat something?
I'm sorry. I'm
No.
I
Do
shouldn't.
it.
No, go ahead.
No. Don't do it. Do it.
No,
Do it.
It still needs to cool down.
Eat
a
it.
bit.
Eat it.
Okay. It's still. I need to wait 5 more minutes. I was trying to feel it.
Okay, fine.
Keep going.
But so there are a couple of and when I talk about there's more madness than there is multiverse, I actually like that. I think if
this is a brutal film.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do Secret Wars, which is a comic book, basically a comic book thing where like all the multiverses clash, and there are many different versions of many different characters. So in that movie, we'll probably see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and all that stuff, and a whole bunch of heroes from different universes and movies and stuff like that. But I think if you did too many here, and that's what I was worried about, was I was worried that they were going to focus so much on the cameos that it wasn't going to be a clear and coherent story, and it was just going to be a, hey, member fest, and I was going to be worried about that. But I was very, very pleased with the amount of cameos. Yes, I wanted to see Deadpool. But
yeah, I mean, I wanted to, but I wouldn't be disappointed that he wasn't in it. And again, like you said, I wasn't worried that there were going to be too many cameos and that it would stray away from just the main story. But I also wasn't expecting it, because I didn't really have that much high hopes or any expectations for this
Right.
film because this film just kind of showed up and I'm like, oh yeah, I completely forgot.
Well, I was expecting it, but,
Yeah.
but I didn't get that, and I was actually it subverted my expectations in that sort of way, which I was very pleased.
What he's
with.
talking about, Illuminati is what he's talking about.
Well, of course, the Illuminati they say it in the trailers.
No,
so,
I know,
you
but that's what you're getting to. That's
of
what
course.
those are the main big cameos. That,
So the main big cameos in this are let's preface this. So it's
Morbius.
It's Carol. It's oh no, it's not Morbius.
Morbius shows up when he says it's Morbin time, and then he just like dominates everybody, and he fights Doctor Strange. God, Morbius is such a good movie. God, I love Jared Leto, man. He's like the best
He's
part of this
totally
movie.
not like one of the worst like actors in Hollywood right now.
I know.
He's an okay actor. He's just a horrible person. Did you hear? Sorry, a little tangent. Did you hear that like he was so dedicated because at the beginning of Morbius he starts with like crutches or something.
He'd walk around the set crutches, and it would cost the production a lot of time because of how he kept doing that.
Yeah,
and it reminded me of that Onion article where like apparently the Onion article said that there was going to be a remake of Forrest Gump and that he was going to play Lieutenant Dan and that he apparently cut off his legs to play Lieutenant Dan in real life. And I was like, there's no way he'd do that. But now reading that something like he'd do this, something like this, walk on crutches on set, if there was an actual Forrest Gump remake, I wouldn't be surprised if he did that in real life.
Of course. Edgar, I'm going to name off some of the cameos. I want you to give me a gasp or a boo if you like didn't care. If you didn't care, boo. If you were like, oh, wow, that's great. Captain Carter as Haley. Yeah. She came back. Haley Atwell. Obviously, she played Captain Carter in in Captain America: The First Avenger, and she also played Captain Carter, the Super Soldier version in What If. This is not the What If version.
Yeah, these are not
as far as we know. Because as we've seen with Doctor Strange, when he was going through those multiverses, he goes into some animated series and he turns into an animated version. So maybe it is the animated version come into this universe, but I wouldn't bank on.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of multiverses where there is a version of Captain Carter like this. So I'm just going to assume, especially I hope that these versions aren't the only versions we see.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel. Played by
I wasn't really a boo or a yay.
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa, I completely. Yeah. I mean, there's
because we saw it and we were like, who is that?
Well, I was trying to pinpoint I recognized her actress, but I completely forgot that was the same actress from Captain Marvel. So I was really trying to be like, what? Like, who is that? I'm trying to remember who it is. So I wasn't really disappointed. I wasn't really. That was my thought about it.
Yeah.
I was like, who is that?
But I read this article.
But I was like, cool, Captain Marvel, but a different version.
Yeah.
So,
but I read this article that was like, she's instantly recognizable as Maria Rambeau, and I was like, no,
not really, no.
Like,
she was a side character in one of the most hated films in Marvel, but she was, not a well praised Marvel movie.
Yeah, but she's the mother of Monica Rambeau.
Yeah,
which is interesting. Because I think is Monica Rambeau running around in this,
Does
universe,
she have? Is she? Did WandaVision happen in that universe?
Yeah. So obviously, it's in turn, it's told that that instead of Carol Danvers getting hit with the radiation from that, was it the Mind Stone? I don't know.
It's
that gave her the power?
the space stone. The Tesseract.
It happened to Maria Rambeau instead, and it's her.
It's her. She's a Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Dark Doctor Strange.
But we didn't see him.
What?
But you're talking about the cameos in general.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about just the Illuminati.
Yes. No, sorry, just the cameos in general. This Dark Doctor Strange wasn't the Supreme Strange from the What If universe. It's a different one.
I thought Supreme Strange was the version that the Illuminati were in.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't know.
But it's not. This was Dark Strange, and I think Strange Supreme. I don't know.
I don't
definitely.
know.
All I know
There's
is
too
that,
many Stranges.
I know, but I do understand what you're saying. This isn't the one. This isn't the version that we see that is like the version that in What If, and it's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, we can talk about Mordo, but Mordo is basically just the same Mordo from our universe.
Not really.
Well, but
because
he acts the same.
I could argue otherwise because
okay.
the other one was like a big grumpy grump who was taking people's sorcery powers away.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to be the villain of this one, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
This is a different Mordo, the one who is in Illuminati, who is the Sorcerer Supreme in this one after Strange.
Yeah. Right. This one was interesting. Blackagar Boltagon.
I had no idea who this
Who's
was.
Black Bolt. He has the most absurd name in the planet.
Black Bolt.
Blackagar. No, his actual name is Blackagar Boltagon. That's his actual name from the comics.
Like, I remember I was in theaters and then he showed up. Someone was like, "Oh my god!" Like, there's like someone had like the best nerd reaction ever.
It was right in front of us.
And and most of us, like 80% of us, like, huh? Like it was kind of quiet.
Well, I knew it was Black Bolt, but because I knew him from the comics, because he's a famous figure in the Illuminati.
He's in Inhumans, apparently, right?
Yes, he is a part of the Inhumans.
Is it the same actor from the show
Anson
Inhumans?
Mount, who came from the 2017 awful Inhumans series.
Ramsey Bolton is in that show.
Yeah, and it's not the actor's fault, of course not.
Yeah,
but wow, that series was awful, and
I remember
the fact that Marvel have taken it in stride and went, yeah, we know that series exists. We remember our terrible things. Here he is.
I remember that was. When they slated that, I remember the hype behind that. It was supposed to be the next big thing, but then it just fell off, and I never heard about it again.
Yeah, exactly. Another one is Clea. This one you and I didn't know.
No.
Going into it,
I was like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, I was like, it is Eternals. I was like, I thought.
Yeah, we thought it was Angelina Jolie as Athena, but it wasn't.
But no,
it was Charlize Theron or something.
Yeah,
how are you saying her name?
Playing Clea, who is in the comics the on and off love interest of Doctor Strange, and she's the protector. What is Wong, the protector?
Sorcerer Supreme.
The Sorcerer Supreme. She's the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Realm.
The Dark World, yeah.
The Dark World. And
where
she
Dormammu.
where Dormammu is, she's the niece of Dormammu, and she eventually becomes
apparently there's different versions of her. Sometimes she's the niece of Dormammu or the daughter of Dormammu, and sometimes she's some, I don't know.
Yeah, in the mainline comics right now, Doctor Strange is dead, and she is the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth right now.
Another character I didn't know, so I really couldn't have a reaction of it. I was just like, oh, cool.
Yeah. All right, we go into the big ones now. Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
In the trailer, we heard his voice, and then at some point we saw the chair.
I wish he wasn't. I think Patrick Stewart showing up in the trailers made people go, because I read an article actually. Kevin Feige, he badmouthed the trailer makers of this. Yeah, he did, because he said, and I agree with him. People watching that trailer got the wrong idea of what this movie was, because we thought it was going to be cameos galore. Because if
we thought it was going to be the X-Men,
because if they showed Patrick Stewart in the trailer, who else do they have up their sleeve?
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't go so much on that train, but that did make me think those things. So I don't blame him for that.
And once again, that's from the fallout of Multiverse of I'm sorry, this is Multiverse of Madness. From A No Way Home, because they showed us the cameos of Doc Ock and Green Goblin and all the villains. Yeah. And then that made us think, well, maybe we're going to get the other Spider-Man. And then that did happen. And so in this one, we're like, Professor X, Wolverine,
Deadpool,
Hugh Jackman, Deadpool.
Tom Cruise as Tony.
For some reason.
Well, but there was rumors. There was big rumors of that.
Yes, there was, but I was always skeptical, because
we were skeptical about all of them. But the fact that
and I've told you about this, because Tom Cruise doesn't allow action figures to be made of him. Yeah, and I think that's a big part of MCU and Disney's thing, is that they have action figures.
I'm gonna make one now and see how he reacts.
Yeah, probably sue you.
He's gonna barge in my door,
and he'll probably win with his billions of dollars,
with his baby blood inside him.
Yeah, exactly, baby blood.
Yeah, he injects. Apparently, he puts in newborn baby blood into him or something like that.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's true. But even if it isn't, that's something. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something he does.
That sounds like just propaganda writing itself. If he actually does,
but he is a Scientologist. He does crazy things.
But isn't that like isn't like Hollywood elites injecting themselves with baby bloods like one of the big like QAnon theories?
I don't know. It just sounds like something.
Anyway, the final one. Reed Richards,
Woo!
John Krasinski. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was screaming at this one.
Wasn't this basically fan casted and we
yes.
shoved it down the throats for them to do?
Yes, but also there are comic books of Reed Richards that look eerily similar to John Krasinski.
Maybe they saw John Krasinski in the office, like, wouldn't it be cool if he was in it? And then he started drawing him like it.
Exactly. Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of people suffer from it every year. But yeah, this one was interesting. So I don't know. I actually think this would have been better if they saved this for the actual movie, for Fantastic Four, the actual movie, and maybe brought back the old Fantastic Four actor. I think it would have been the same level of hype, you know.
As Spider-Man? Like seeing Tobey Maguire?
No. Seeing the old guy who played Fantastic in the old Fantastic
That's what I'm
Four
saying,
movies.
because it's like a movie we saw. So it'd be like seeing Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
But I feel like those weren't... I feel like those aren't loved as much as the original Spider-Man trilogy, so I feel like it never...
Well, neither is Blackguard Boltagon, you know? People hate that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But I see what you mean, because we already did get Blackguard Boltagon and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
people love... That was
Yeah.
the biggest... would you say that was a bigger applause and bigger reaction than Charles Xavier?
yeah, of course, because we knew
Fantastic
Charles Xavier
Four.
was going to be in
Yeah,
it,
you're right,
you know? But I think like, obviously, like, the audience went...
I liked it.
I don't know how you keep doing it, Edgar. You keep finding the most hype audiences, and I understand a lot of people are like, "Shut up, I want to listen." But for me, hype MCU moments with an audience are what I live for. I love that stuff.
We live in one of the biggest cities in America, and I like seeing it on opening nights. So
Yeah.
it's no surprise that we see it, that we get a big audience like that in general.
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
it. I think sometimes I see it in videos where people are standing up and clapping and whistling and hollering. I think that's too much.
Yes, don't stand up. That's stupid.
Don't whistle. Don't clap. Well, I mean, you can clap a little bit, but the whistling is what bothers me.
Yeah,
like it's a stadium.
I like cheering better. You
Yeah.
know?
And the audiences have been reactive to where I'm like in a moment, and it's amazing. But
Yeah.
it's just sometimes it's too much. I'm glad to say that I haven't been in that situation yet.
Yeah. There was this movie. I remember there was a couple of
There was
people
people.
behind us
They're
who were
the giggly
talking,
bunch.
and I was like, "Shut up, bro!" Like,
Well, they talked at
stop
the beginning,
talking.
but what they mainly
Yeah.
did was that they would giggle at a lot of moments.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll get into that a little bit later because
yeah.
I feel like I kind of sympathize with them.
I don't. I hate those.
No,
people.
not in the way you think, but keep going.
Oh, I get you. But so John Krasinski, who has been heavily linked with the role, because imagine being an actor and being so well loved that the fans have basically cast you in this role. Like, how would that, like, how does that make you feel? You know,
I mean, but he was also interested. But we were, But it did start out as like a what if this?
Yeah. So John Watts has just left the filming of Fantastic Four.
Did it say why?
He said he needed a break, but I have a theory. So John Krasinski has been a big director recently.
The Quiet Place 1 and 2.
Yeah. So what if he did accept the role, but say only if I get to direct it? I think that's where this is going.
John Watts is still also doing the fourth Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With Tom Holland. So
yeah,
he already has a lot on his plate.
I don't think he's gonna be angry about losing this, you know. But I think
juggling the Fantastic Four, arguably two of the worst adaptations have been so far. So it is a heavy.
They got to be careful with it.
Yeah, it is a big task to take. So I wouldn't be John Watts. It kind of sighing and in relief and patting his back for like not having to take that burden. So I don't blame him, and he's probably happy that he only has to deal with this.
Yeah. So yeah, this is first ever superhero role for John Krasinski. He says that he even still has a family in this universe. Do you think, obviously, so with how quick John Krasinski dies in this?
Yeah, they die.
I think
everyone dies.
Yeah, everyone dies, which I love. I love that part.
I like the brutality. I just kind of
No, I loved them just getting killed off. 'Cause,
Except for
you
the
know-
Rubble. I hate it when people die in Rubble.
Oh,
Captain
yeah,
Marvel.
yeah. Well,
You
Captain
can tell me
Marvel got a
Captain
little
Marvel
bit, yeah.
die. That's how they die. But it did catch me off guard.
She could still leave that, but I was gasping and I was like, oh my god! But I thought it was great. So Reed Richards gets string cheesed basically, and his head pops.
Reminds me of when
You know.
Thanos did the same kind of to Drax and not
Yeah.
Drax but to Mantis.
Yeah. However, there is a problem that I have with the writing at this moment, because Reed Richards is supposed to be one of the smartest men in the MCU.
I just didn't like how he
and
didn't
he
have
goes-
a chance to fight. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't care that they all died. I just wish, and I feel like everybody else kind of got their share fight except for Reed Richards. I wish
Well,
we saw
Blackagar
just
Boltagon didn't either.
Well, yeah.
But
they
Reed
hyped
Richards-
him up.
yeah.
But they hyped him up a bit too much to
Yeah.
where like it makes sense that he was the first to go.
So Reed Richards goes like, "Oh, this guy's gonna screw you up with his mouth," and then Wanda
mouth?
goes, "Oh, okay, what mouth?" And then he doesn't have a mouth, and his brain just implodes from the inside out,
You
which
should have
is
said this,
awesome.
You should have said the opposite.
Which
This
is
guy's gonna
awesome.
mess you up with his hands. And then
Exactly.
he just like tricks him and then he yells.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But my theory is that Blackagar Boltagon and Reed Richards died so quickly because they are going to be introduced in the MCU soon.
I mean, all of them die, so I wouldn't be surprised if all the characters.
Well, but I don't think we're going to see Maria Rambeau
Or Charles Xavier.
Captain Marvel. We might see Charles Xavier, but I don't think we're going to see Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel or Haley Atwell's.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because in this, or at least in 616 or this timeline, Peggy's dead.
Yes.
And Maria Rambeau died in the
Yeah.
in the middle of the snap in the blip.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think we're gonna see them again. I think that was just a fun moment for the fans.
Yeah,
you know.
I like that. That moment was cool. It's just my only gripe was that
Yeah.
when we have Mr. Fantastic, even though we're gonna get a Fantastic Four, I
Yeah.
just wanted him to do just a little bit more
Yeah.
than just die.
I also think John Krasinski's got to work a little bit on his Reed Richards, because I think as
Well,
much
here's
as
the-
I love John Krasinski, Reed Richards is a little bit more of a stubborn man.
But you
than
gotta-
he's putting him out.
You got to
to
remember,
be.
they film these things so chaotically. They
Yeah.
barely give you a script, and they don't tell you the context a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And you don't, and sometimes you're not even acting in the same room or building as with the other
Yeah.
actors. So sometimes, and Doctor Strange, sometimes with. I'm not talking Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch said that when he was filming No Way Home, he didn't know who he was talking to or what he was
Yeah,
talking
of
about.
course.
So you got to give him some slack when
Of course.
sometimes they're acting with
Of course.
no context at all.
But overall, he looks great.
Yeah.
Like he looks.
I told you that
like
he,
the Silver Fox side hair, dude. sick.
sometimes I was like looking. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the suit was CGI, but I'm pretty sure it looked real, and it was to the point where like, but I couldn't believe it because not because it looked fake, because like, is John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic is standing is like in on the screen again.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a unreal moment to where like what I was seeing can't be real because
Yeah.
we've just been dreaming about it the entire time.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great. What if? What I just thought of this. What if Chris Evans showed up as Flame On?
He shows up at the Human Torch again.
Dude, this is the Human Torch.
I actually would be. I would be really happy
I
about
would have
that.
screamed, bro. That would have been so sick.
He just like doesn't care. He's like all.
Oh, dude, that would have been so funny.
Oh man.
That would have been really funny. But yeah, so those are the main, those are the main cameos. I think those were great. I know a lot of people, like my friend Asal was like, dude, like why did they just kill him off after hyping them up? But I loved that part. Because basically Wanda, even in the comics with the Darkhold, solos everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Speaking of Wanda, it is revealed, and we haven't really talked about it, that she is the main villain.
Yeah.
Which I like. Maybe I'm oblivious. I didn't expect. I
was expecting. Well, I wasn't. That wasn't my first bet. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was still wondering what the villain was going to be. I knew she was going to be on a like I'm going against you ideal side,
Yes.
and I wouldn't have been surprised if she's kind of a villain for a little bit, and then they fight like.
I thought she was gonna be like a wild card.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if she was a villain for a bit and then they fight a main villain.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I kind of didn't know. But her being the big villain, I wasn't like, oh my God, but I was like, I see. Oh, this is interesting.
I was like, what? I was like, excuse
So
me.
you were like completely caught off guard.
Yes, I was.
Not
'cause
even,
I
really?
I
Not even
thought-
the trailers, because
well,
it really pinned her out
well,
to
I
be.
thought yes, they did, but I thought
It was gonna be a different Wanda or something like that.
no, I thought that it was going. Yes, I thought that, and I also thought if she was going to turn bad, it was going to be like halfway through the movie. Like, I thought she was going to
yeah,
go.
I remember your exact.
I
the,
knew-
the
I knew
sound
sh-
that you
yeah.
made whenever it confirmed, like, oh yeah, she's bad. Which
Yeah.
you were like, the face you were making,
I
you're
was
like,
like, what?
now, like
Yeah,
we're like 5
exactly.
minutes in.
Exactly. But when she like showed the apple orchard is like actually
Yeah.
like I was like excuse me,
What?
and then she goes and just like absolutely wrecks and corpses. This is the only
She
movie.
kills a
Yeah.
lot of people in this
Oh
movie.
my god, this is the only movie where I'm like a little bit like maybe don't take your kids to see this unless they're a little
Yeah,
bit
this
older.
is well.
you
Here's
know?
the thing. I wasn't really scared at all in this movie, but this is a movie. If you have kids, I probably would
Yeah.
be more wary of taking
I
to.
jumped once or twice, you know.
Yeah.
But
The horror elements
yeah.
are there. I to me it just wasn't scary, but I
That's-
definitely do
yeah.
see it as like I don't know if I take my kids
Yeah,
to this.
that's why I love
Especially
it.
that
I
Captain
love it.
Carter death.
I love that. Yeah, I love that Sam Raimi zoom in on the lips and hear them speak. It's so I love
When?
it. Zoom in on the eyes, like when they zoom in on Doctor Strange and he's like, "There was no other way." And stuff, and it zooms in.
Oh,
and stuff.
the weird one
yeah.
for me is when Captain Mordo, you only see his eyes first before you see the reveal. Not Captain Mordo, when
Yeah.
when they reveal Mordo's there, they just show his
Yeah.
eyes. I'm like, this is weird. This is
Yeah.
definitely not like. I mean, it
Right,
wasn't bad,
right.
but I was like, whoa, that's a
Yeah.
cool choice.
But
yeah, she kills
Yeah.
a lot of. How would you feel? How did you feel about?
I knew
the
she
writing?
was gonna kill Illuminati. By the way, I knew that.
Really?
But I thought it was going to be they go across the universe and
That was the thing that caught me off guard.
I thought they were gonna go together on this journey, and then the Illuminati were gonna be like, "No, you can't do that, Wanda," and she's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm so angry," and then kills all of them. You know? or the Illuminati was going to be the villains, which I think would have been interesting
That would
too.
have been probably. That would have been. Yeah, that would. I could
Yeah.
have seen that. That would have been really cool.
That
Because they
would have been
did
very
kill.
interesting,
They
'cause
killed.
did kill Thanos.
They did. I wish we
Yeah.
could have. That was one thing I wish we did see. I didn't care if we got any more cameos than what we saw for the Illuminati, but I feel like we would have seen them more utilized if we had saw just a sliver of
Yeah.
a fight, seeing how the fight went
would've
on
been cool.
Titan. Because
That
I
would've
saw
been
them like, hey, they defeated him on Titan. If the
Yeah.
same events kind of happened with what we saw in Avengers: Infinity War, like there was like stuff going on Wakanda, but they defeated Thanos on Titan, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So I wish we kind of saw that.
Yeah, well, it was interesting.
But I was gonna say, how do you feel feel about how Wanda was written in her character in general?
I've seen a lot of conjecture that people say this is character assassination. I think she was written. I think she was written really well.
Yeah.
I do. I think that she was actually, like, genuinely. I think that her purpose, and I think it is bolstered by WandaVision. And I think, however, the way that series ended kind of ruins it for me, because I'm like, dude, there's a Vision out there, like, and we know she's gonna get the happy ending eventually, you know. So like,
I don't know about it. I don't know anymore.
I think she will, but I think that she just has. I think that the way that they left her off, she has a lot. Like my I was talking to my mom because I tell my mom spoilers before because she's a very nervous person. So I tell her spoilers before.
Mom, Darth Vader is the
Yeah.
father.
Exactly. and she already looked at these spoilers before, and she said, "I don't want to see her die, like, because she's one of her favorite characters." And I was like, "Mom, she's not dead." I was like, everybody's saying, "Oh, she's dead. She's dead." It's a rock. It's a rock, and it fell on the Scarlet Witch,
That's what I'm
who has the
saying.
Darkhold. She's not dead.
Can you imagine if that's how she dies? That'd be so
No,
pathetic.
she's not dead. But I do think that she has a lot to go through as a character in terms of redemption. And I think that that could be very interesting to see. But in terms of this movie overall, yes, she had one note. She was very, she had one goal. And yes, maybe she was blinded, but also I think you could chalk that up as, like, when she gets a hold, because in the comics, when she gets a hold of the Darkhold, it makes her a little bit more crazy. So, like, I think that also amplified her craziness. But I liked it. I think Elizabeth Olsen was by far the best actress in this movie. She killed it. She was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah. What'd you think?
I disagree.
Oh, you disagree? That's
I
okay.
really don't like. Well, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I was kind of expecting her to be the villain, and I wouldn't. And I was like, and yeah, I mean, I just don't like. I feel like they really messed up on the. I feel like the writing is the weakest point of this film.
Okay.
And it maybe it might have been with a bunch of mess around with the post production that the people up in Marvel did with Sam Raimi's vision or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still a writer that had to write it. So at some point, it's not just all of them. So I don't know what happened, but I feel like what they were going to do with Wanda was still what they intended. I feel like when the movie finished, I felt like, wow, Wanda stans might not really like this one. Like they were really not going to like it because I felt like everyone was kind of like on her side and they were like all sympathetic, and this movie really doesn't make you sympathetic for her at all. I feel like it failed at that because at the end of WandaVision, when we saw the first trailer for Doctor Strange, it already frustrated me. I said it half jokingly and half serious because she was like, I made mistakes, and Doctor Strange is like, I'm not here to talk about Westview. I'm like, why not? Why are you even like, what? She imprisoned like an entire town, and she like doesn't care by the end of the of the story. She doesn't have any consequences reprimanded on her, and it seems like she just simply doesn't care. Except she does care about her children, but let's forget about Vision. She just apparently just doesn't want to be with them anymore.
Well, she doesn't know the other Vision is alive.
Yeah, but if she assumes he's dead, why doesn't she want to go to multiverse where he is there? Does she not care about him anymore?
Maybe she just assumes. I think that they tried to write. I think that they wrote Vision out of this. I don't think.
Yeah, I just don't believe that, especially how much she cared about Vision, and I don't really believe that she would care this much. I mean, they wrote her that she cared about her children in the end of WandaVision.
Maybe it's because.
But she spent with her kids 3 days.
Hold on. Maybe the reason why she did this was so that if she went to to a universe with Vision in it and killed that Wanda, that Vision would have stopped her.
You think she wouldn't have? But it seemed like she didn't care, regardless of who cared, because by the end of it, she would have been ready to get rid of whatever Wanda. She didn't even think that through. I feel like because she didn't realize until the very end when God, we haven't even mentioned America Chavez, which I felt like was kind of just there. I don't have really any feeling towards America Chavez.
I liked her.
I feel like they try to make a.
We'll get to America Chavez, but
South America Chavez, yeah.
South America Chavez, yeah. But Wanda, so I see what you mean. However, I don't think Marvel has to try to make her sympathetic. I think she's sympathetic. I think you're one of the only people who doesn't already feel sympathetic to Wanda, because a lot of people, Edgar, liked WandaVision much more than you did. Yeah. Right. A lot of people did.
But I feel like this might have this writing doesn't make any sense. It's not like I was rooting for her downfall. I was totally embracing her for her to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
If it had the right motivations. And it just really didn't, because I really don't like it when they have she's bad because this is making her bad concept. Even if the Darkhold is like that in the comics, I feel like the argument, it's in the comics, is getting thrown around a bit too much. And I had this issue when I saw Moonknight, where I feel like we're giving this stuff a bit too much of a pass just because if it's supposed to be like this, even though it doesn't explain it well in the movie or show, and if it's not written clearly and cohesively. And it really, I wanted her to kill a bunch of people, but it just felt like there's no like redemption for her, and it doesn't really write an excuse for her, and she doesn't. But at the same time, they're trying to make her excuse sympathetic and valid at the same time, trying to make you feel bad for her.
Okay.
And it just doesn't work for me at all.
It works perfectly for me.
It really doesn't.
I don't know what to say, dog. But here's the thing.
Crazy. Like,
here's the thing. I think Wanda is one of those characters. So Wanda is fascinating because she hasn't really had her own solo movie, right? Even her own series she shared with Vision, you know? So she hasn't really had that. So they've had to take her arc and really kind of place it in alongside movies, and now we get to the point. If you look at the past, if you look at the past, what she had to endure, the death of her brother, right? She had to kill
her family too, yeah.
Yeah, and her family. She had to kill her lover in broad daylight, basically ripping his soul out of him.
Yeah.
Then she had to watch that happen again, and she thinks that he's dead, and her 2 sons are dead, and everyone she's ever known, like the people who took care of her, right? Black Widow and Captain America are both dead. Those are the people that watched over her. So she has nothing. So at this point, what does she have to lose?
Yeah, but I feel like Hawkeye was more closer to her than Captain America and Black Widow was, to be honest. Because I felt more of a connection with Hawkeye than Black Widow or Captain America. Would you not agree?
But didn't Captain America save her in Infinity War? She was on the run with Captain America.
Yeah, but
for
a bunch
2
of people
years.
save her. But like,
Yes, but
Hawkeye,
she was on the run with Captain America for 2 years.
Yeah, but Hawkeye's the reason why she got in the Avengers, and he was there with her talking about who they lost at the end of Endgame. He's the only one that's sympathetic with her because he lost Black Widow.
Of course.
So I
course.
thought that they would have like had a moment, or I'm not saying that they had to have a show together. I just thought she would have ended up going along with him because there were two peas in a pod. Because they would have, if anybody in the world would understand them, it'd be them two. Because
I don't think they're 2 peas in a pod, but I think
not like that. But
I think there is a connection there. But
Yeah.
I think when you lose that much, but also you have to remember, like, she lost her family. Hawkeye has a family. Like, I wouldn't want to go with him either and see a happy family that I could have had. You know,
But it was
so
for 3 days. She was with her kids for 3 days, and they didn't exist.
Right.
And it just baffles me.
But she dreams of them every night, and that's one of the reasons is why she has gone crazy.
I just think killing.
She has, you know.
I don't mind her killing, but with her reasons, I don't think that warrants enough to kill I don't know how many people.
I don't think,
and to throw off and
I
to
don't
risk
think-
it all for the multiverse and just destroy everything.
I don't think any reason to kill is okay, right? But I think like even Thanos' reason, like why not just
his makes more sense than Wanda's though.
Well, why not just
And he has
why not
good
just-
intentions.
Yes, but why not just double, you know? Why not just double the resources? You know, if you look into this so specifically on every single one, I get you. I understand. But for me, overall, in terms of Wanda's arc, she has lost almost every, even in Civil War, she lost her freedom because she had to go on the run. In every single movie, at the end of it, she gets the short end of the stick every time. And she is like she's never been like emotionally stable, especially since she grew up in a facility most of her life, you know, and was given these freaky powers. So I don't think she's ever been emotionally stable, but now that she's lost everything that's close to her, I just think that she's just not even a person anymore. And in this movie, she seems to me more as like a demon, an entity, and she says that at the
I would be
beginning,
okay
you
with
know?
that, but they still try to make you feel like she's still redeemable and a human.
Oh,
which she still is.
I don't think she is.
Really?
I don't think she's redeemable at all.
Well, I think I
think she
I
can
agree with
be.
that.
I
But
think she can be over the course of some
I'm not
movies,
saying she
yeah.
absolutely 100% can be. I just think it's not going to be super easy to gloss over that as much as apparently is easy to gloss over Westview, which apparently as easy as that was.
Yeah,
'Cause
apparently.
I don't think so. But
No, I don't think so either. Like I said, I have a lot of gripes with the ending of WandaVision, especially with Monica Rambeau, who says like, they will never know how much you sacrificed for them. I was
You
like,
didn't
BS.
sacrifice.
I was like,
You were the one that
BS.
caused it.
I was like, you enslaved these people. They were slaves. That is the worst thing you can do to somebody.
Yeah.
You know. But I see what you mean. But I don't. At the end of WandaVision, a lot of people thought like, oh, this is going to, you know, like, oh, this is going to lead into this way, and it's going to, you know. I think that moreover, it was more ambiguous. It was more, this seems a little bit evil, you know, dark red and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that helped connected it.
I just
pretty
felt
well.
like a progression towards that or a better reason
Okay.
for on my part would have been more convincing because
Sure.
and maybe she could have started off killing people and it would have been okay, but
Yeah.
just what was built behind that wasn't enough for me to like
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay. But yeah, and that and I had those issues and pacing issues. As short as it was, I felt like I was kind of like not bored, but I was like, why are we like taking so much time slowing down? Why isn't Strange, who's being chased by Wanda with America Chavez, why isn't he like running? Because I feel like there's a lot of moments where they're just standing there, considering how important it is for them to be running away from it.
I think that comes with the Sam Raimi film.
Yeah.
Because I think I see what you mean, but I think I like those moments because it sacrifices that intensity for a moment of suspense.
And I
enjoyed.
I also didn't buy that Strange was in love or super in love with what's her face? I forgot her name. Rachel McAdams.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
And I get it. Like she's supposed to be like she's the main gal.
I remember her name. Dr. Love Interest.
Yeah, exactly. She's supposed to like. His whole arc of the story is that he's supposed to be okay, that he's not happy because the one thing in the world he apparently wants is to be with her, and I don't buy it. Now, I like that there is like it's showing you that he's okay with it. I like that, but but they barely did anything with her and him in the first one, and now they're trying to make it super important in this one.
Wasn't that the arc in the first one that he's no longer like holding the knife in the relationship and he allows her to do something
and he's detached from it and he found a bigger responsibility? Yeah,
because doesn't he rely on her for something, and that was supposed to be a big moment in the first movie, and now this one she's like, I can't do this anymore, and he's like, I would be like, but my character development,
yeah.
that I did have a problem with,
and I also didn't like how much they didn't believe Doctor Strange, considering they like trying to make him out as such a bad guy, and I get it. Other strangers are like probably the most dangerous thing in the multiverse, but this one like really does, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe there wasn't any way to prove it other than what Doctor Strange was kind of trying to convince the Illuminati, but I also feel like they try to shoehorn a Spider-Man / Doctor Strange or Spider-Man / Tony Stark relationship with America Chavez and Doctor Strange, which didn't work out in the end. I wish we got more of her. We only got a little bit of when we saw her backstory and when she kind of talked with Doctor Strange, but I felt like there was no.
If they were journeying throughout the universe,
I wish we saw more like one or two. I don't want cameos. I just wish there was more multiverse along with the madness.
Well, I think that one of the main issues with this was that, like I said, if you're gonna make, I do understand the Illuminati, and I really like. After I said it, I really like the idea of the Illuminati being the villains of the film. I think that would have been interesting. But I think if Doctor Strange and Chavez talked a little bit more, because I feel like that they didn't have that much dialogue scenes.
No.
Or if you're not going to have that, then make Wong and Chavez.
Yeah, Wong was kind of...
They had good repertoire, too.
Yeah, I thought Wong was... Also, I felt like they nerfed Doctor Strange in this. Like, he was like way more powerful in Infinity War than he was. I mean, that happens in a lot of films because they wanted to make Wanda more powerful and unbeatable, but we didn't even see a fully fleshed out fight with Doctor Strange and Wanda. I don't even think we see them fight.
Yes, because I think in terms of power levels, I think Wanda would just obliterate him.
You don't even think Doctor Strange could hold his own for like a second?
Maybe for a second.
I just wish we saw something, because I can't believe that she's like already so powerful he can't do anything but run.
Yes, it's the Darkhold, and I know that you hate it, but in the comics it is extremely, extremely powerful.
To sum up, I feel like America Chavez was a living what do you call it?
Deus Ex Machina?
No, a living
plot device?
That and what do you call it? A thing. Like the thing in the movie, the Infinity Stones. The Tesseract.
Yeah. He was
a MacGuffin.
A MacGuffin.
She was the living MacGuffin, and I felt like the Darkhold was the living excuse to like, oh, it's because of this.
Yeah.
At least I mean,
I think if more of the chaos came from like, I actually would have liked it if like Wanda and America Chavez and Doctor Strange did work together. And then maybe they had their own problems throughout the film.
And
like
slowly progressive into conflict.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange, and more of the madness came from, like, Wanda's going mad. America Chavez is getting upset because she doesn't know her powers, and that's making her powers go haywire.
Yeah.
Dr. Stone is mad, and that's making his
Dr.
powers
Strange.
go... Dr. Strange. I just called it Dr. Stone again. Woo! We're having a great time.
We're having a good time here.
But yeah, I think so, but also I really, really do like this film, and I'll tell you why. One of the big reasons why I like this film is because it felt so non-MCU
That is
in a
true.
time that I feel what you're feeling. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so much MCU. And I'm like, everything has to have quips. The dialogue in this one was different. The way that, and I loved how it continued from the first movie, how Doctor Strange beat the villain in a unique, we did have Wanda fight off against Doctor Strange, but it was dead Doctor Strange, you know?
Yeah.
But that was so awesome. I love
I
love it.
And
I
there's a
love
lot
it.
of cheesy moments that didn't work for me, and
Yeah.
editing was mainly a part of that, because like, I feel like the giggly guys were laughing at almost everything, but when they did laugh at
Yeah.
things, I was like, huh, was that supposed to be funny? Because I was like kind of
Yeah.
like, and I felt like a lot of things didn't work in that end. But the one cheesy thing that I actually really liked was the music fight.
Oh yeah.
I actually really liked that.
This is so fascinating.
That
Edgar, 'cause
visually-
everybody hates that.
Really?
From what I've heard, yeah.
I thought that was the
but
coolest.
Edgar, I think this film, and just like with a lot of Sam Raimi films, I feel like there's just so much. I feel like it's so 50-50 that somebody can go, I didn't like this, or I like this, you know. But from all my friends, they were like, oh dude, that I hated that.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm always on a middle ground. Sometimes I'll give something a 5 rating, or something. Sometimes I'll absolutely hit it. It just frustrates me when people call this a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10, or when someone gives it a 0 out of 0. Because
Sure.
I was defending it with my brother. I felt like he was going a bit too harsh on it. I was like, no, but this and that. And then when I see people online, oh, Sam Raimi's the GOAT. He's like 10 out of 10, master director. He should direct everything. I'm like, God, come on. Like, are we just gonna pretend like all 3 Spider-Man movies were without their perfections, and like the third one was god awful? No, I mean,
well, but that wasn't Sam Raimi's fault.
I know,
but
but
that was studio meddling.
same goes with this
Same
one.
goes
I
with
mean,
this one.
but
this studio is a little bit better than Sony.
yeah, but my point still stands. I
yeah.
saw people like kind of giving Raimi a bit too much
Yeah.
credit, and it kind of like got me in a little bit, not angry, but
Yeah.
I was like on both sides, and like,
Yeah.
but I was more frustrated that no one was seeing the middle and seeing both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Not seeing the good when it is actually good, and not seeing the bad when you should be looking at it.
Yeah. But I see what you mean. But
You described me perfectly. I can't keep my fandom and my critiques
Yeah.
separate from each other. I can't
but
do it.
I get you, bud. Don't worry. And I've known Edgar for a long time. I promise you, he he liked the movie. You know, me and him were laughing and we're gasping and we're enjoying ourselves and having a good time. You know, but
I'll
Edgar,
have my moments.
Edgar
Like-
Edgar is a very critical thinker. He's very smart, so he knows.
I don't know about that.
You know, you are very intelligent, and you have a very good sense of what makes a good story and what doesn't, and that all just comes together in there.
I mean,
I'm less.
it doesn't
so
mean I'm
that.
right. I'm not gonna, and I might
No.
be completely wrong. I just felt
No.
very passionate on that end.
Yeah, no, I get you, man. I get you, but no,
It was a
but-
fun movie. It was,
Yeah.
if anything, go
Yeah.
watch it for the visuals. Sam Raimi is back. He hasn't made a film in 9 years.
I don't think the actors are bad either. I think all of them kill it. I think they're all great.
Yeah, they all do great
Um,
with what they got. Another
yeah.
issue that I mentioned before, they're acting like with like everything's all jambled.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're able to perform this well is impressive.
Yeah, come on, Marvel. Give your actors some context.
But that's
like,
not
for the love of God.
But it's not their fault. People just
Yeah.
go way too hard into finding spoilers and trying
Yeah.
to go on these sets and like, you guys, calm down. Like we're making it so difficult for them for them to make these films. Everything has to be a secret for them, thanks to us.
Yeah, exactly. But
This is a long episode.
This is a long episode. but-
Again, my fault.
No,
I feel like
it's
it was my
fine.
fault.
It's fine. I'm glad. I want to. I love giving you a not giving you.
Ben is
but
one of those
love-
persons I like
love-
arguing with anyway. Like,
Well, I'm not. I didn't argue with you.
No,
I
but
said,
like,
I said
I like
see,
venting
but I
to
just
you.
I just don't like.
You're wrong.
I think yes, I am wrong.
no.
But I think I'm just a natural. Like when it comes to MCU and Star Wars stuff, as long as their heart is in it and they're really really trying to.
There was
adapt,
heart in this movie.
Yeah, as
he
long
did
as they're
care.
trying to adapt the source material, that's fine. That's why I love, Book of Boba Fett. Hark on it as much as you want. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau created it, who love Star Wars. that like it's not that they can't do no wrong. There was a lot of wrong in Book of Boba Fett, but like Sam Raimi, he loves doing these movies. Kevin Feige, he loves Marvel. So I'm always okay to give those moments a pass as long as they give me good character moments that continue to evolve the character, which I think they did. One thing I want to leave off on though, there are a lot of people review bombing, and of course this isn't you, Edgar. There are people.
I gave it a fair rating.
Yeah,
I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 or like a 7.5 out of 10.
There are people who are.
I hate review bombers.
Yes, there are people who are review bombing, not because they have actual critiques, and then at the end of their critique, I go, oh, okay, I can't take your critique seriously anymore, because a lot of them go, I didn't like this, and also it was too woke, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? You're like, are you actually kidding me? Like, America Chavez. And in the comics, this is canonical, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it doesn't even matter.
I'm not gonna attack you for it. I just want to find it funny how many times you said in the comics.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
In the comics, Strange was a Nazi, but it's okay because it was in the comics. No, but keep
the
going.
writing was bad because it was in the comics.
But I see people getting
but
freaking
people
out.
say why are they trying to push their values? She had 2 moms.
Isn't it in a world where it's all women?
In like a yes, exactly.
I know.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude? I'm like, oh god, and it's just like, yes, she had 2 moms, and maybe she could have said those are my parents instead of those are my 2 moms. But like, how backwards of a person and thinking do you have to be?
Why would you attack someone like Costa Rica Chavez? I mean,
Costa Rica Chavez?
I mean, Puerto Rico Chavez.
No, American.
Mexico Chavez.
American Chavez.
There you go. Sorry.
But
Canadian Chavez.
German Chavez.
German Chavez. South Africa Chavez.
Bosnia Herzegovina Chavez.
The Republic of Congo Chavez.
But no, I just thought that's something that really jumped out at me. Guys, don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Like,
it happens
sorry.
in the anime community a lot.
Yes, of course.
They give it a straight 10 out of 10, or they give it a straight 0 out of 0. I'm like, guys, can you like think for a little bit and like try to formulate your own thoughts? I attacked it so much, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and like that was like
that's like a 7.
Yeah, I mean, even I mean, something can't affect me that much.
Also,
like,
Edgar,
I don't think anything...
you have to remember you are going through the Marvel fatigue that I felt. And for me, when I had Marvel fatigue, I was like 0 out of 10. I don't want to see it, you know.
I don't even think I think Eternals is like the worst thing that I hate about the MCU, and I didn't even give that a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, the MCU for me is like I'm like the MCU, everything is either like that was good or wow, that was great or you know. Because I haven't seen Eternals. I haven't seen Eternals, so I have never seen a MCU movie that I didn't like.
It's not a 0. It's not a 0 out of 10. I just think it's the worst that they put out so far.
Oh, the worst
of the MCU? Yeah.
Wait. Oh, you're talking about the Eternals. I thought you were talking about Doctor Strange.
Oh no.
I was like, what?
No.
Yeah, I get you.
I said 7.5 out of 10. Slightly better than the first one. Yeah, in my opinion.
If I were to give it, I'd give it an 8.5 or a 9, just because I enjoy Sam Raimi so much. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of horror movies, even though they scare the living daylights out of me. But I love Sam Raimi. Also, Bruce Campbell, Living Dead reference when he punches himself. What movie was that? Night of the Living Dead.
He's in Army of Darkness and Evil Dead. I think
it's Evil Dead where he punches himself and he has to cut off his arm because it's like zombified.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those movies. I will though. I did buy 1 and 2, so I'll go be watching those.
Okay, that's great. Well, Edgar, this was a long episode. I actually might think about cutting it into 2 because it was so long.
We'll see.
We'll see. But
we might MCU this movie and cut it from how many hours to 2 hours and 5 minutes.
I ain't doing that. That's gonna take a while.
No, I know. I think it's fine as is. Yeah. We had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, sure. I promise episodes aren't normally this long. We just had a lot to talk about today. Next week,
I apologize again.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. Next week we'll counter with a little bit of a shorter episode, a little bit more fun.
Yeah, this
stuff
wasn't
like
fun.
that. Yeah, this was this was excruciating. I'm about to die.
Ben was holding a gun to my face, and I was livid.
No, I was holding a gun to my face while you were giving your take on Doctor Strange. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Well, I was holding a gun to my face while he was crapping on Avatar 2. I was fighting for my life over there.
Right. But I promise we're not this far. But if you guys, please like, subscribe. We enjoy so much talking about all things anime and manga up in here. If you want to know all about this stuff, I know I said this at the beginning, but I'll say it again. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news, reports, and projects coming out of Japan, we are here. The Manga Monday Show are here for your needs. If you want us to review anything, want us to take a look at anything, please leave a comment. If you think we suck, if you think Edgar sucks, if you think I suck, if you think anything, leave that in the comments.
I like the movie. Don't judge the video just based on me ranting
right.
about it.
Yeah, I get you. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening this whole